Howdy, howdy, everybody. Welcome, welcome. We are going to have a good time today. Nice and chill, nice and relaxed. How's everybody doing? We're live on the one and only YouTube. We're also co-streaming, shockingly enough, on TikTok, which is a first-time thing. So we're going to see how that goes. I've wanted to do it for a long time, but like TikTok had all sorts of weird restrictions on it, so it wasn't actually that easy to make it happen. But now it's relatively easy. So messed around with some stuff and we're gonna give it a shot. So hello everybody. I'll try to keep an eye on both chats as we go and try this out. It should be interesting. But how's everybody doing in here? Kevin, first time here for the start of the stream. Awesome, Kevin. Timed out right. Timed out well. Love that. Timur, good to see you. Lucas, do I want to watch the stream today? I don't know. I really don't know. We have a handful of things to look at. As you guys know, July is always a really weird time in the gaming space. Not a whole lot of stuff happening because basically every company blows their load a little early. They come in June and they show everything because it's E3 time, or at least it used to be. And now it's like Summer Games Fest and all the other showcases. So they show everything off, get people really excited, but then they have nothing to show until their games start to come out in the fall. So things kind of hit a little bit of a lull. Occasionally there's one or two big games that come out that blow people away. Like, I mean, Diablo 4 is probably a great example. You know, those kinds of games that come out and they're just meant to consume thousands of hours, you know? So that's kind of what it is. This time around, that's kind of what we're dealing with, but we still have some stuff to talk about. We've got some really cringe stuff with, with Netflix trying to get people to watch the Witcher show. Real quick, everybody in chat, like, how many of you actually have been watching The Witcher season 3? Or are you like me? Have you kind of given up on it? I will be honest, I've kind of given up. Thank you to everybody in the TikTok chat as well. Good to see you. Ewan, love your videos. Thank you, my friend. I'm glad you're here. So I am of the mind that the Witcher show was already kind of losing me. Like season 2 especially was just baffling. Like I'm familiar with The Witcher. I mean, you guys can see back here all of these books. You can't see it on the TikTok stream, but I've got like the full stack of books. Hold on. So like, I did my homework. I like The Witcher. However, oh God, it doesn't fit. Okay, well, we'll have to clean that up later. So I really like The Witcher. I like The Witcher, but the show like kind of lost me because in season 2 they focused so much on Fringilla that I couldn't commit to it in the same way. Like I just kind of lost focus.
Chatted $100.
Oh Jesus, Devin!
Here in a minute. Hope all has been well.
Jesus, talk about poggers. Devin, thank you so much for $100. Gee whiz, super chat. That's a giga super chat. Thank you, my friend. So. Yeah, I have just kind of been of the mind that I have checked out. Sorry, that kind of threw me for a loop. Thank you, Devin. So I like The Witcher, but season 2, they focused so much on Fringilla that, and not to like spoil anything, the story literally doesn't go anywhere. It's a total waste of time. The entire thing with Fringilla in season 2 of The Witcher on Netflix is a total waste. It doesn't do anything. And the whole time I was watching the season, I was like, okay, like, where is this going? How is this tying into Geralt's story and to Ciri's story? And it basically just doesn't. It was really strange. And so that turned me off. And I felt like, okay, well, it's called The Witcher, but the show is almost entirely about, like, everybody other than The Witcher. So it got really frustrating. And then they announced, of course, that Henry Cavill is leaving. There's all of this talk about his frustration with them not holding true to the source material. He was frustrated that they were adding stuff and changing stuff. So he just got pissed, and that seems like one of the reasons he left, mixed with the Superman debacle that happened. And also, he's been tapped to be an executive producer, I believe, on the new Warhammer 40K show, which is coming from Amazon, which, for those of you on TikTok, you can't see, but I have a secondary camera because during reactions and stuff, I like to assemble members of my Warhammer armies. So you get a separate camera for that if you're watching on YouTube. However, he's a busy boy. He's got a lot going on, but like he's leaving after season 3, and I'm just like, I know I'm probably not going to love season 3, so why am I going to commit to it, watch the whole season, knowing that next season it's going to be somebody else playing Geralt. It's probably going to be even less relevant to the source material. And honestly, I half expect them to cancel it before season 4 even happens. And one of the reasons is because, like, look at this. Did you guys see this? Again, you can't make this up. The Witcher's official, like, Instagram account shared this. It is a picture that simply reads, "Yes, he's still Geralt in season 3. The Witcher, Netflix." Like, if that is not an admission that you like, they know they have a problem. They know there's an oopsie going on right now. And man, like this is a big oof. This is a big old oof right there. So this tells me that they're seeing lower viewership numbers, and it's because a lot of people probably are just turned off and are like, I don't want to deal with it, especially if it's going to if it's just gonna be more of this. Yeah, this was really funny though. This was just, I died laughing when I saw that. I was like, no way they did that. Sure enough, they did. That's real. Not even fake news. Not even fake news. Where's the other one I saw? Oh yeah, The Witcher is dead. The Netflix did a whole, or the Nerdtrotic did a whole segment on this. But basically across the board, it seems like the reports are in, the numbers are really, really bad. It's just rough. You know, former writer recalls staff actively mocking the source material, which just baffles me. Like, if you're gonna do a show based on a series of books, why would you hire writers that hate the books? It would be like hiring a bunch of like, I don't even know what to compare it directly to. It would be like hiring a bunch of maybe like devout Orthodox Jews to make The Passion of the Christ. It's like, well, they don't really like the source material for The Passion of the Christ, for the Gospels. They don't think all of that's real. Why are you having them write and do this? Like, it doesn't, it just doesn't make any damn sense at all. It's just so bad. Yeah, Hugo in TikTok chat. Yeah, it's The Witcher without The Witcher. Exactly. When he had only one sword, it gave me red flags. Yeah, for real, dude. It's just, oh man, it's so frustrating because it could have been so good. Season 1 was a slow start. It was clear they were on a tight budget, but season 1 I thought did a pretty good job. Season 2, it was like, okay, is this The Witcher or is this the Frangilla Hour? What are we doing? And then all of this stuff happens, so it's really frustrating, frankly. And Big Z in YouTube, thank you for 5 months of support, my friend. That is tremendous. Thank you. Everybody, yes, also like the stream. That does help. I've been told. I've heard from people that helps. Have I ever heard of a game called Deep Down? It rings a bell. Deep Down game. Deep Down came out in 2013. Development hell, was near completion and then was not released. Ooh, it's vaporware because it's not been officially canceled. Just to show everybody this is what he's talking about. This is Deep Down. It was a PS4 game, a Capcom game, and it was pretty much done, but they never released it. Interesting. This camera already looks like it would give me a headache. You know, these third-person games that go really tight with the FOV so you can barely see what's happening? Seems like that's what this is. But frankly, this doesn't look... Okay, parts of it look bad, but a good chunk of this doesn't look bad. It's really quirky and weird. It's like medieval mixed with Dead Space. Interesting. These vaporware games are always so baffling to me because I'm like, you spent millions of dollars developing a video game and then you just like walk away from it. Like, it doesn't make any sense. It's like, was it a Catwoman movie? Is that what it was? Wasn't there one of those where like Brendan Fraser was playing the bad guy and they filmed the whole thing? Yeah, Leslie Gray says Batgirl's cancellation felt like deflating a balloon. Yeah, Batgirl, a completely finished superhero film, was scrapped by Warner Brothers back in August. A full movie just wiped off the slate. Even though the decision to shelve Batgirl ended up being part of a much grander shift in the hierarchy of power over at DC Studios, Batgirl will still likely never see the light of day. Roughly 6 months later, Batgirl stars are still speaking about the film's cancellation. I understand it was part of like a big shift. I get that. But like, for real, how bad must this movie have been for them to just cancel it? Like, it must have been so bad for them to be like, we're not going to make any money with it. Like, there's no way. Like, should have been sent straight to streaming. Well, like, the fact that they didn't do that makes me wonder if like it was so bad they didn't even think that they could turn a profit at all. Like, it's so weird. This whole Batgirl movie thing, you should look it up, the articles on this. It's just baffling. Like, very little of it makes any sense because they filmed the whole movie. They went to locations, they filmed all the stunts, they were starting on special effects, the whole thing, and then they just said, never mind. Like, I don't understand how that happens. How does that work? Like, you're just walking away from all the money? It's insane. Oh, man. Ewan, what have I been playing recently? I've been playing a good amount of Dave the Diver, playing occasionally a little bit of Fortnite with the wife and my bro, Caleb. It's just kind of good, feel good fun. I'm a little burnt out on it, though. So recently, my spare time has just been filled with building my Warhammer army up. Takes time and a lot of money. It's kind of a problem. Any Final Fantasy 16, asks Leo. I will be honest, not really. I did the demo, and for me, Final Fantasy 16 was like, it doesn't look bad at all, but Final Fantasy 16 is like, to me, it's a great example of a game that is a put it on the shelf and we'll get to it when we get to it kind of game. You know, like, it's not so good that you have to play it right now. It's not so amazing that you've got to drop everything like Diablo 4 was, or like God of War Ragnarok or something, or Elden Ring. Instead, it's like, I can take my time. Like, if I get to it later in the fall, that'll be fine, you know? Or Gollum. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Corey Sutton
just like
super
Gollum.
chatted $6.56. Hello there.
Hello
Sorry
there.
to interrupt the topic. Any updates on the finance channel and when we can expect it?
Corey, I appreciate
want a
that.
sub saluting face.
You're damn right. Salute. Yeah, I am still working on it. It's a little tricky because the studio space that we're building is currently a guest room upstairs. So I've got to like take that down, and like we have to paint. I have to install all the lights and stuff. It's a process, because basically, for those of you not aware, I'm also going to be experimenting with a secondary finance channel because I love talking about finance since I have a bachelor's degree in it. I end up rambling about it during streams anyway, so might as well just have a separate channel for it. And so I'm going to be doing that. It's just taking a little bit of time. So you'll finally have ventilation. Maybe. The air circulation in this house, dude, is so bad. It's so bad. Like, one room will be 85 degrees Fahrenheit, then the room next to it is like 65. It's baffling. Like, I had the AC guys come right at the beginning of the summer to do the system check or whatever, and even the AC guy was like, He's like, he told me, I asked him, like, what can we do about it? Like, am I able to get a second unit? Like, how does this work? How would we upgrade this or make it better? He's like, I'm going to be honest. The only way this gets better is if you replace the whole damn thing. And to do that with a house this old, probably like $20,000. It's like, okay, never mind. That is a down payment on a different house that has good air conditioning. I'll wait. You know, like, Jesus. Final Fantasy 16 feels a little too light on RPG mechanics. Final Fantasy 16 to me seems like one of those games where they came up with the idea to make it when they were watching Game of Thrones and they were so excited about it, like 3-4 years ago. And then they started work on it. And since then, people have kind of shifted their focus and interests a little bit. And we all know how Game of Thrones ended. And so now it's like a very weird game where I think people wanted more action RPG stuff and a little less Devil May Cry. And instead we got like Devil May Cry mixed with Game of Thrones, which for some people, to be fair, for some people, it is a match made in heaven. For some people, that is the shiz. Okay? Like Final Fantasy 16 is their game of the decade. I've talked to a few of them. They love it. But for a lot of other people, it just simply isn't what they were looking for, you know? Yeah, like Rocky in chat. And Leo, yeah. Man, I loved it. Exactly. Like that, for some people, it was exactly what they wanted. For a lot of other people, it just wasn't, it didn't click. Oh, by the way, I went to the eye doctor today. I'm not blind. So that's good. Apparently, I have an astigmatism, I think is what he said. Stigmatism. What even is this? I should probably know what I have. A common imperfection in the eye's curvature. Oh God, my eye is not perfectly curved. The front surface of the eye or the lens inside the eye is curved differently in one direction than the other. Common symptom is blurry vision. Oops. So what he said, basically, he was like, your eyes do the job. However, they have to work harder to do what other people's eyes just do naturally. He's like, so you probably have felt some headaches. You might have felt some migraines when you work long hours or try to read for long periods of time. And I'm like, I just thought that's what reading was. I thought reading just gave you a headache. It's like, nope, it's not normal. You're supposed to be able to sit and read for a while. I was like, oh, well, that's good to know. I just, like, straight up, I thought that was normal. I thought being blind was normal. Nope. Thank you for the roses, Anthony. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate you. Sorry, I'm in the zone rambling about my blindness. But yeah, it's just, apparently it's fixable. It's fine. Like, I've got my prescription. I think it's still like 2 weeks out, but yeah, it's just being blind, man. It's tough. Salvador, thank you for the 5 months of support on YouTube, by the way. Thank you. Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader by Owlcat Games is pretty good in beta at the moment. Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader? Warhammer 40k. What was it? Rogue Trader. It's on Steam. It's a story-rich classic RPG. They made Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous. Okay. Interesting. I know they have also Warhammer Tacticus and they have some other games. I'm just baffled that they haven't come out and just done like a straight up port of the actual like board game with the minifigures, but like an official video game version. Like, it seems like a match made in heaven. Warhammer fans notoriously spend a ton of money on their hobby. So make a game where like they maybe have to buy their army separately, or maybe if they have some way that you could prove you have like already paid for the armies, you can import those into the game, or just give us access to the entire thing for $70. That would be preferable. But it just seems like a layup. Like, why wouldn't they do that? I don't know, man. Like, these spin-off games can be fine. They can be fun. But we've just never gotten the game that straight up just gives you the board game. You know, even like Warhammer or Total War Warhammer, is pretty good, but it's not exactly what people were looking for either. It's a Total War game with a Warhammer coat of paint, basically. Man, I do like me some Warhammer though, or some Total War. It's a lot of fun to be had, boys and girls. Lots of fun to be had, I'll tell you what. Adam, I'm watching you on YouTube and TikTok at the same time. Oh, we have a winner, ladies and gentlemen. We have the winner. Let's see. I'm gonna do a recap too. One things, did Jay end up getting in touch with you? You reckon do an Andromeda I tried vid? Yeah, I do want to do an Andromeda I tried, and I think it's actually already on our production calendar. So yes. And as for Jay, yes, I sent him a Discord friend request, so I'm just waiting on that to get accepted, and then we're gonna start chatting. Where's the Twitch? Does anybody like Twitch? Does like anybody other than Rocky for the chat? I don't know. I like Twitch chat a lot more. It's just, it works better moderation, blah, blah, blah. But man, everything that Twitch does in terms of policy is just horrible. I saw they introduced their own version of super chats as well on Twitch, except it's like, I think Twitch takes something insane, like over 50%. One girl was saying she got donated, I think it was 85 Australian dollars, and her take home was like 25. I don't know if that's true. They might just do a 70-30 split and then she had something happen with like fees or whatever. But the fact that they're taking anything is like a little crazy in the context of Twitch having all their troubles, but whatever. Surely Twitch knows what they're doing. It's a speed run of how to destroy your company. Mamadi, thank you for joining us. What do you think of Black Myth Wukong? I'll be real. That one to me, just to pull it up so everybody sees what we're talking about. So I'm getting a phone call on my business phone. This one is a little weird because I think it looks really, really good, and it's from a totally unknown quantity. So it's, as far as I know, a brand new studio. And I think it's a team in China that's building it. And it looks really, really good. But it's like, it almost looks too good, you know? It almost looks too good. So whenever I see stuff like this, I'm always very cautiously optimistic, but still skeptical. So I would love for this to be great, but I've seen a lot of games that look pretty good in a context like this, and then we end up getting it, and it's like a technical disaster or something. Like, this is an Unreal Engine game, and you guys know just how many Unreal Engine games have had a lot of trouble in the last couple of years. It's just like a very common thing that shader compilation issues come up, stuttering is constant. So I'm just very, very hesitant to buy in hook, line, and sinker. And beyond that, like what they've shown here is really cool. But how does this tie together into a 20-hour campaign or 15-hour campaign? I don't know, because we haven't seen that. So time will tell. But I think most of the stuff they've shown, everybody's pretty impressed with. Pretty varied environments, lots of different boss fights, different movesets. The animations all look great. Particle effects look great. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I'm keeping an eye on it. I'm really hopeful. Plus, you get to play as like a weird monkey Ronin samurai something or other, which is cool. That, I mean, I think pretty sure. Not totally sure, but probably. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I'm keeping an eye on that one though. Is it? Let's see. I don't think they have any dates. I don't know when that's coming. No idea, but hopefully soon. The other one that was actually kind of impressive, that's also an Unreal Engine game, was this one, Phantom Blade Zero. And this one I thought looked pretty good. especially once they got into combat. I remember we watched this reveal live and I was like, it looks fine. And then they got into combat and he starts doing some of the weird like parry moves where he spins over and it's doing backflips and stuff. It was really, really cool. And it's going to be like right here. Just like, look how fluid this animation is. Just watch this. Take this in slowly. Absorb it. Oh. Like, look at that. Come on, dude. That's like Batman Arkham City levels of, holy crap. Okay. We're not messing around. Okay. Okay. I'm listening. Man. So that looked really good. However, there's a lot of these like Soulsborne ripoffs, or not even ripoffs, like Soulsborne inspired games. And we know that it's not easy to balance something like that. It's not easy to build boss fights that are both challenging and fair. Like, there's a reason why From Software is so highly lauded as a development team, and it's because they're so good at this very difficult thing, and they make it look easy. I mean, Elden Ring was a great example of that. But we've seen countless other games that come along and try to do the same thing, and it just doesn't click in the same way because they just don't have that same magic touch that FromSoft does. You know, it's a tricky thing. It really is. How much of that is skill and how much of it is just clicking buttons? That's what, I mean, you really don't know until you get your hands on it. That little double parry thing he did, probably just a single button press. And then the game identifies two targets are attacking, parry both, use this animation, it'll parry both. And that's not a bad way of doing it. It still makes you feel really, really cool. But we've also seen other games that have systems that look really cool, and then you actually get into it and it's like, oh, it's just, we're just mashing buttons. Okay. So we'll see. But it's just, you never know from looking at a single trailer what the game is going to have to offer. You just never know. Which is why you need to try it. That's why I went and I tried The Crew Motorfest like last week at some point. Ubisoft invited me to try that early. And so I got to play that for like 3.5 hours. And that was pretty good. Like, it's not going to replace Need for Speed or Gran Turismo or anything, but it's like good for more casual racing fans. I wonder why Capcom never went into the Souls genre. I feel like they could pull something off. Didn't they have a couple of games where they tried? Or am I just making that up? Capcom, like Soulsborne style games? Maybe I'm just making that up, but I could have sworn they experimented with some stuff like that. Maybe. The Surge, was that a Capcom game? I didn't think that was a Capcom. Maybe it was. Surge 1 and 2. I actually really liked the Surge games. I didn't think they were that bad. I thought they got a bad rep, but... Oh, dude, it came out on Amazon Luna. Wow. No, that was Focus Home. Focus Home, by the way, they're now Focus Entertainment. They've been doing amazingly well. Like, I'm stunned by these guys. If you are not familiar with them, they are responsible for some of the biggest and most surprisingly decent games of the last, like, handful of years. So they did Greedfall. They have Atlas Fallen coming. That'll be one to keep an eye on. Aliens Dark Descent, Warhammer 40k Bolt Gun. That was a really fun, weird one. Atomic Heart, Blacktail, actually decent. It's a fun little indie style game. Evil West, the one with like Vampire Hunter Cowboy. Plague Tale Requiem, one of the best games from last year. Hardspace Shipbreaker, World War Z, Insurgency Sandstorm, Plague Tale Innocence, Greedfall, Warhammer Age of Sigmar, Stormguard. Yeah, they've got just a bunch. Surge 2, they also did that. Yeah. So, Farming Simulator 19. I mean, what more do I need to say? They've been doing very well. I think Neo is the best Souls-like out there, not made by FromSoft. Yeah, Neo is like hardcore Soulsborne FromSoft stuff, even more hardcore than From Software stuff. It's for like once you've graduated FromSoft and you want to do something even more intense, you go to Neo. They can be very, very difficult, but they also have way more variability and minute customization in the action RPG space. The like From Software action RPG layout of different skills and upgrades and stuff and how it multiplies across abilities, it's pretty good. It's pretty comprehensive, but I would consider it like mid-tier action RPG. And then Neos gets like very high mid-tier to low advanced. And then beyond that, you're talking about like PoE and those super, super hardcore action RPGs where like if you don't have a spreadsheet pulled up while you're building your character, you're screwed. Which some people love, man. Some people love those super hardcore ARPGs. I enjoy them, but I also don't like having to do a ton of research to figure out how I should play the game. Like I like it when there's an action RPG that I can figure out myself. I don't need to be writing stuff down or pull up a spreadsheet and do the math. It's just personally not for me, but I totally understand why some people love the challenge of, okay, we're going to figure out how to fully maximize this loadout by doing this, this, and this, and getting this drop. And, you know, I get it. But I enjoyed Neo 1 a lot. Neo 2 didn't play, and Wolong I liked but not invested in it. Wolong I thought was just... it was very mid. I thought like I appreciated what it was doing, but it just, so much of it just didn't click together for me. Like a lot of the graphics too, man, just didn't work. Didn't work for me. Speaking of graphics, should we look at the Unreal Engine 5.2 next gen features list? I'm like, can you tell I'm dragging my feet a little for Duke Nukem because I know it's going to be terrible. I'm prepared for that. By the way, people in TikTok chat, I apologize. This is literally the first live stream we've ever done on YouTube and TikTok. So forgive me for having no idea how this works. Anthony sent 5 roses. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know what that means. So if somebody could explain it to a boomer like me, I would appreciate it. I don't know. Sekiro 2 or Bloodborne 2? Oh, let's do a survey. Let's do a survey. That's a good... I think I know the answer. Let's be honest. I think I know the answer. But start a poll. Bloodborne 2 or Sekiro 2? Okay. The default option is yes or no. Bloodborne 2 or Sekiro 2? Yes. Bloodborne. Sekiro. Okay, let's see. Ask your community. Let's do it. They love you. That's why they sent the roses. Oh. I know it's good. It has like a separate like little pop-up for it. Oh, like this one, Daily Streamer just sent a donut. Awesome. I like donuts. I'm not sure what that means, but I'll take it. Not sure. Fire Katara. I'm gonna go watch on YouTube Live. Yeah, by the way, anybody on TikTok that wants to pop over to YouTube. On YouTube, of course, you get the wider view, and when we start doing these reactions, you get the separate camera for when I'm assembling the minis and stuff, which can be fun. Crispiest live I've ever seen. Ooh, I'm glad. Thank you. I'm glad. Can you revisit BioShock Infinite? I think so. BioShock Infinite is weird, and I'm just going to be honest with you guys. I've tried making videos on the BioShock Infinite stuff before because I find it fascinating. I love the game. However, there's something weird with some games where everybody admits and agrees we love them, or they're super popular, and yet they don't really drive a lot of engagement. people just don't really watch a lot of videos on them. It's almost like they're like, yeah, I know about that. I'm good. It's weird. Like BioShock Infinite is one. I can make a video on that thinking, oh, it's a popular game. It's going to do really well. And that video is going to do super well. But it doesn't actually do very well. It'll probably do like 75, 80,000 views.
Constantine Doomy Trash super chatted $5.68. Hi Luke. In Motorfest preview you say they introduced planes and boats. What did you mean by that? They had planes and boats in TC2 since launch.
Yeah, I think I caught that when I was watching it through this morning before publishing it. I think when I was filming the video, I was trying, like in my mind, I was going chronologically with the demo that they did, because they started us off with like a story sequence is a strong term, but like with a series of cutscenes, and then they did like a fluid transition between a bunch of playlists, and then they shifted us forward, gave us sort of a walk down of the store and how to customize vehicles with our like little Ubisoft representative talking to each person that was there about how it works. And then they introduced the vehicles, and then they introduced like the planes and the boats and stuff. And so I think just the way I filmed it and the way we cut it together, it sounds like I'm saying it's brand new, but it's not. But I think it was just, I phrased it weird. Blue Point Bloodborne 2024 third quarter. Maybe, but they've been saying that Blue Point's apparently working on their own thing. By the way, everybody, the question of Bloodborne 2 versus Sekiro 2, 66% of you said Bloodborne 2 is what you would prefer. That doesn't shock me. That doesn't shock me at all. What's the Astro name on the top left? Astro from Logitech are a sponsor of the stream and of the channel, so we represent them. The two headsets that I use all the time are the Astro A30Ss, and then these are the Astro A50Ss. I just love Astro headsets, and so we rep them, and they're a fantastic partner of the channels and the streams and stuff, so much love to Astro. My name is Deese. My name is Deese, Anthony. And what's with Ubisoft with mobile games? They just print money. I know it's frustrating for us because we don't like mobile games if we're more hardcore gamers. But like, Jesus Christ, mobile games print money. It's outrageous. Have you ever looked up like Candy Crush revenue? Candy Crush revenue, how much money did Candy Crush make? In 2021, so this is a couple years old, but in 2021 alone, Candy Crush made $1.21 billion. Billion. That's outrageous. Okay, like I can't even put it. Like, for example, GTA 6. Everybody agrees GTA 6 is going to be like the biggest game ever. It's going to be ridiculous. And that game, according to Take-Two Interactive, they said at their investor call a few months ago that they expect it's probably going to introduce a $2 to $3 billion bump in revenue. $2 to $3 billion bump in revenue for that year, for fiscal year 20, I think it's 2025. It's whatever next year is for them. And that's a lot of money. Candy Crush makes a third of that in a year, and it's a rinky-dink stupid little mobile game. And GTA 6, they're like, yeah, we'll probably make 3 times that, which is very, very good money. But it just goes to show you, like, GTA 6 has been in the works for a decade at this point. Over, like, 10 years they've been working on this thing. And Candy Crush just casually makes that amount of money in 3 years. Isn't that insane? Like, when I try to, like, reframe things like this, I just want people to keep, like... look at the broader picture. Like, we are hardcore gamers. We pay 60, 70 bucks for a single video game. We play it very, very hard, and we get a lot of pleasure out of it. We watch streamers talking about it, YouTubers talking about it. But we, even with that, for a lot of these companies are considered the minority, a smaller concern than the like 50-year-old lady who works as an accountant and plays Candy Crush on her phone during lunch, because she spends a buck or two every day for more charges or whatever to continue playing. And over the course of a year, she spends a heck of a lot more money on that one game in pure profit, because it's just microtransactions, than we ever would. So for them, she is much more valuable as a customer than I am. And that's a little depressing. It's a little upsetting that that's the case, but that's just what you have to remember. Like, there's a lot of nuance to this. It's not as simple as just like, well, I pay a lot of money for my games. It's like, yes, but there's a lot of other people that are just frankly more profitable as customers for these big companies like King, which is the mobile game dev that Activision owns. So yeah, I think Take-Two's expectations still include other developers under that belt. Yeah, no, what they did is they showed, like, in the exact like investor call, they show, I think, like, this year they're expecting to take in like 5 billion or something, and then they say next year we're expecting 8 billion. And everybody's like, sir, where's that extra $3 billion coming from? And they refuse to answer. And so everybody is pretty much settled on, okay, so it's GTA 6. I mean, what else do you have that's going to generate a $3 billion boost to your business? There's nothing else that we know of. So either it's a total surprise and it's not GTA 6, or it's GTA 6. And that's, to be fair, that's just like the single player game, the multiplayer game with GTA Online getting rebooted and reset is probably going to be coming pretty close to launch, but it's going to be making money over the long term. It's not going to be represented in that first fiscal year entirely. The new Rockstar Medieval game, I mean, I think honestly, if that were closer, we'd be hearing more about it. You know, it's just, with all this, it's the same thing with like Bloodborne. Everybody was saying, oh, well, Bloodborne, we're totally going to see Bloodborne at the PlayStation showcase that they did back in, was it late May or early June? And I was like, frankly, guys, if we were going to see it, I think it would have leaked. Because literally every journalist on the planet, every gaming journalist on the planet is begging to break that scoop. So if they get even a slight whisper of it, if they're at a bar and they hear somebody talking about the potential of that happening, they're writing an article on it. And there just weren't any articles like that. So I'm like, okay, I don't think it's happening. Nowadays in 2023, it's just extremely difficult to get that same level of like secrecy that you used to get, where they just shadow drop something insane, where they just announce something that nobody had any idea existed. It's the same thing. Like, if you want to start looking up like what next year's iPhone is going to be like, you can find out very, very easily. You just go to like macrumors.com and then you go in and you're like, iPhone 15 roundup. And then they have it fully broken down with like all of the leaks, all the manufacturing leaks that have come out. So you can find out exactly what the next year's phone is going to look like a year in advance, because it all leaks. Because there's so many thousands of people that work on these projects. They have case leaks, all sorts of stuff. Like, this whole thing I'm scrolling right now is for a product that doesn't exist yet. And for video games, it's the exact same thing. You just have a bunch of little bitty leaks here and there, but it's easier than ever to collate them and collect them all in one spot. What site is this? Mac Rumors. If you just go Mac Rumors, they've got stuff on everything Mac. So, Unity's game development tools for Vision Pro now available in beta. I'm going to be trying it, dude. I'm going to get one of these and we're just going to do like, I tried gaming in the Vision Pro, so you don't have to. And it's, I'm just going to return it right after, because I can't imagine this thing is actually any good at all. But you know. David, hey Luke, didn't know you stream on TikTok too. Yeah, it's the first time we've ever done it. So yeah. I didn't know I could too either until yesterday. I was looking at it and then I saw that they launched a new TikTok live studio thing, which was pretty cool. Well, that makes a lot of sense why The Sims 5 is going to do microtransactions. Yeah, I've heard rumors that The Sims 5 might even be just totally free to play and they're just going to sell expansions and microtransactions and that's going to be the whole thing. Not a bad idea. You still want to know about the TikTok roses? Yeah, sure. Yeah, if you can break it down. I told you about the studio thing ages ago. Well, what specifically it used to be is that you have to receive a TikTok live key. And in order to do that, you had to reach out to TikTok support, get the key, and then you could stream. So it had to be like a manual button that they would press. And over the course of the last month or two, we've done very well on TikTok, thanks to Daily Streamer and some amazing work he's done. And so now we qualify for all of these special features for the creator fund on TikTok, for all sorts of stuff, which is pretty cool. So yeah, now we can do it. Now we can do it. And thankfully I overpaid so much for this computer that we can stream 2 separate streams and it works just fine. Isn't that outrageous? Any thoughts on the vitriol over the Diablo 4 patch? What is this patch? Can you tell me? Let me look it up. Is it funny? Did they do something stupid? Let's see. Diablo 4 patch. Diablo 4 patch. It's disgraceful. More nerfs. Okay.
You messed up.
Let's see what this is. I've played a good amount of Diablo 4. But I know nothing about this patch. Maybe I should. We're about to find out together. We're going to do it. Yes, David. Witcher 3 background music. Oh, baby. That's a good question because I was starting the game on PC, then it broke. Should I go ahead and play Black Flag for the first time or wait for the rumored remake? To be clear, the rumored remake is still like 3 to 4 years out. So I would not wait for that. If you can play Black Flag on console, that's probably the better bet because apparently it still kind of works there. But it's just, they need to fix it. It's insane that they haven't. Okay, let's see what this whole thing is with Diablo 4. There's a patch that just dropped, and apparently this person, Rage Gaming Videos, I'll share the link real quick in YouTube chat. Apparently they're saying that this is disgraceful. More nerfs found. The devs confirm more changes, and season 1 is ruined. Okay. That's a lot. Okay. Oh no, not this guy. Is this guy a lot? I don't know him. Because there was another guy that also did a video on it. I have a feeling I'll figure out pretty quickly if this is a guy that we want to watch. So let's see. Let's see how bad Diablo 4 is.
Big time. Patch 1.1 dropped yesterday for Diablo 4, and literally not a single soul on the planet is actually happy about this patch, and there is no way to put this lightly. Hype for Season 1 for the vast majority of players has been killed, just completely wiped out. There are at least a dozen major things that players have been asking for, things that are genuine issues we've noticed in the hundreds of millions of hours, by the way, of playtime that the community has racked up as a whole. Things that make the game just sort of frustrating currently, and how many of those were fixed in this patch? Exactly.
As a YouTuber, I can appreciate his eye energy, but it does sound like he's hyperventilating and about to pass out.
Zero. They weren't even mentioned. On top of that, they made every single character weaker offensively.
Okay, let's see. Developers note the core stat bonus on weapons has been overperforming, so we're pulling back on this bonus. Strength 50% stronger when on weapons. 25% stronger when on weapons. Dexterity. So they halved all of that. Cooldown reduction affixes often felt mandatory due to their raw power. We imagine cooldown reduction will remain a highly desirable stat, but the penalty for not prioritizing it won't be as harsh. Okay. And we're seeing critical strike damage and vulnerable damage often viewed as a hard requirement for a build's success in Diablo 4. We believe this is a step towards allowing more builds to flourish and will continue to make changes in support of this role. Okay, I mean, I don't have a problem with balancing, like, if they're just balancing stuff out. Like, why would I be that pissed about it? Like, okay. Asmund said the game is significantly worse because of this patch. I mean, to be fair, I haven't played it, so I haven't played this new patch. I don't know how it changes it. And I would imagine that hardcore ARPG players probably have a feel for it. My concern with all this, though, seeing significant stat changes where you're having the effect of things, that makes me worry that they're trying to increase the grind, and I don't like that.
They limited our top-end potential a significant amount, and hey, how about a nerf to survivability across the board that makes even the tankiest of builds no longer actually feel tanky in...
So why would they do this? Total armor reduced by 30%. Were they just getting complaints the game was too easy and this is their response? Damage reduction from enemies that are burning reduced by 25%. Yeah, they just nerfed toughness across the board. So are they just trying to make the game harder? I don't know. Cal, good to see you, my friend, by the way. And how is it being a new dad? It's very good. I'm loving it. I mean, I've been a dad for 2 years now because Lockie's about to turn 2. But yeah, 2 little ones in the house. Ooh, never a dull moment.
Any real way. Oh, one of my favorite bits, cooldown reduction was being prioritized by players, so they nerfed it to make it feel less annoying if you don't have it. What? This is a gross way to interpret that. The way to make it feel less of a detriment to not have cooldown reductions is to reduce the cooldowns for everyone. Sure, go ahead, nerf the cooldown reduction stat, but only if you're going to compensate that by reducing these cooldowns that people were actually using the stat for.
Yeah, that objectively doesn't make any sense at all. Like, what? Reduce the cooldown reduction, but don't deal with the actual problem at all. Okay, that doesn't make any sense.
The ones that people thought that this stat was necessary to be able to use. Because for the most part, people weren't using this stat to get overpowered. They were using it to just make builds function as a base in the first place. And by nerfing this, you've essentially just killed a number of builds without offering any alternatives. It sucks. And this is just one of many examples of the things in this patch that I don't agree with in the slightest.
I mean, I can understand. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate and look at this fairly, to be clear. Like, I'm not trying to defend stupid decisions. I'm just trying to understand this and like try to offer various perspectives. But like, on the one hand, if the devs are looking at it and are saying, okay, so this is an ARPG where you're supposed to create varied builds, and we've found through our data that we collect on all these builds that the vast majority of endgame players all have this one trait because it's basically necessary to be competitive in the end game. And then they go in and they're like, okay, well then let's balance this so you don't need that trait anymore. That's understandable. I don't think anybody would have a problem with that. The problem here is that they aren't actually fixing the issue. They're not actually fixing why people are all using this trait. They're just making that trait worse. So it doesn't fix anything. It's just really, really dumb.
Before I get too deep into it, it's pretty apparent.
They must be prepping for set bonuses, says Mike in YouTube chat. There's a certain way they want us to play. So sad. Yeah, I feel like there's something else going on here. Like, because this doesn't make any sense. Buffs for cash coming soon. Maybe. Because as we've said before, when there are changes being made to the game that just flatly don't make any sense at all, usually it's because there's some nuance or some change that we aren't seeing yet that explains it. In Warzone, you guys remember, like back in the heyday of Warzone, just a couple of years ago, they released, maybe the best examples were like the Gallantry little MAC-10 gun, or I think it was the FFAR, the FFAR, that thing. They were totally broken guns, totally busted. Like, if you were not running this thing, you were not competitive, right? And it just so happened that they had those available in the store for purchase. So it's insane. So they break the game and then they sell you the solution to it being broken. You know, that's what I'm worried is going on here, where they're breaking the brand or breaking the game, and then they're going to sell you back the solution, which is just super, super slimy. And David, it was Raycon. I still have them. I think they're actually upstairs with my Vitcher glasses.
That the developers are aware of just how angry the community is about all of this, because they scheduled a surprise campfire chat developer stream for this upcoming Friday out of nowhere within 8 hours of the patch coming out. They want to talk about this now, and this is possibly the most dangerous thing that they could do realistically, and I'll make it clear why. The community is extremely frustrated with the changes that the team chose to focus on for this, and the changes that the team refuses to make as well. If they do this stream and they don't offer any actual timelines on actual changes that people have been asking for, if they don't say something like, hey, yeah, we'll add more stash space next week, it's just going to make people even angrier. As it currently stands, a large percentage of the player base is just completely demoralized about the concept of playing this game now. They just don't care. This patch is simply one of the biggest letdowns in recent gaming history. Diablo 4 at launch was fun. They did some nerfs, of course, but then they did some buffs, and everyone was feeling pretty good about it.
Does anybody watch this guy's stuff? Do you know if he's one of them that was complaining about this game from day one? Or has he been pretty level-headed? Because I know that there's a ton of people out there who were more hardcore. And from launch, they're like, this game's horrible. This game is terrible. So I don't know if this is somebody who's just kind of riding the trend or if he's actually being real in that his opinions changed with this patch exclusively, you know? Because that if his opinion has honestly been changed, fair enough. Like I'll try to consider it as level-headedly as I can, but I'm not so sure yet that that's what's going on.
Right? Then we all knew Season 1 was approaching. We were all sort of building hype for it. We all knew there was going to be a big patch right beforehand. Maybe it would even fix some of the issues that we had. After all, since launch, players have been politely bringing up issues that they thought needed to be fixed when it came to monster density in the game. Certain monsters doing enough damage to one-shot characters, which just feels unfair, especially when it's not super high content. The whole resistance system in the entire game just not functioning properly, which not only makes all of us squishier, but absolutely screws over sorcerers, whose main stat is intelligence, and they should be basically immune to resistances as a result of that, but they aren't. Dungeon Finder, or just general looking for group systems, as they sort of built Diablo 4 to essentially be the Diablo MMO. Stash changes or upgrades because we desperately need more stash space.
I will say, yeah, from what I've played, the stash system is really dumb, especially with the gems. If you have any gems at all, it's just a disaster to try to carry stuff and explore. Like half of your inventory ends up just filled with gems that you need to carry back because you have to combine them to get higher end gems. It's just really, really dumb. And there's no reason to do that. Like unless they're going to prepare to like start selling us bigger stashes for $20, you can carry twice the stuff. I don't know why they would do that. I don't know.
Not to mention the ability to filter loot that is in your stash or even your inventory in different ways. Things like by type of legendary aspect, by specific legendary aspect, even frickin' alphabetically would have helped a significant amount. And all of these issues, which aren't even all of the issues, just the top of the barrel, not a single one of these, not even one, was even mentioned in this massive patch. The only real thing I consider a meaningful positive change, they made it so the max level requirement of sacred items is now 60, and the max level requirement of ancestral is now 80, which is good for your alt characters. Too bad that they killed alt leveling hard, and so a ton of players who would have gotten to enjoy this change now just will not interact with it because of that. That said, okay, maybe they are working slowly, right? I can handle that. Maybe they are planning to work this stuff out during the season, right? If the only bad news is that they didn't address quality of life concerns, that is annoying but not game destroying. Well, what if I told you that they reduced all of the relevant gear stats by an insane amount? The thing is, the game is built on math at its core. Realistically, the math was created while they were making the game in a way that makes damage multipliers worth more than additives. That's just the way that math is. Specifically, this was applying to crit damage and vulnerable damage, ending up making them more valuable than pure damage additive increases.
Yeah, dude, reducing vulnerable damage by 65%, like, Jesus. Like, these are not little changes. And I think that's the broader point. Like, these are huge changes. These are big shifts that have a real impact. Like, It's not, oh, we adjusted the bullet spread of this rifle by 2.27%, and then we balanced the speed of the bullet velocity by 0.72%. Like, no, we are nuking this thing, and this thing is totally useless now. These are not small changes. And for them to make like huge changes like this, you have to ask why. Their explanations don't really make a lot of sense. Disparities in inherent affixes can rule some weapons out before the rest of their stats are even rolled. Okay. These are receiving harsher reductions than their normal affix counterparts to increase weapon flexibility. It just looks like they're trying to find whatever the meta is or whatever people are really enjoying using, and then they're breaking that so that you have to go and build something else. I guess maybe what this is all about is that they are simply trying to make, like, for example, I don't actually know what the meta is now, but they're just trying to take really committed players and then get them really upset so that they have to come back and redesign their characters and keep playing to figure out what the new meta is now that their current like meta is not actually that useful or viable. Again, it's the same exact thing that Activision, owned by the same company, of course, it's the same exact thing that they did with Call of Duty, where they have for Warzone certain metas that are clearly the best guns in the game. I mean, watch any Warzone streamer, or if you watched them back in the heyday, like 2 years ago, or during COVID, there were all of these metas that were just phenomenal. You get the Car 98, and then you run a Fafar, or you run a Gallantry, or whatever it is, or the Pistols Akimbo, whatever it is that you're running, and that's just the meta for that day. And then Activision would come in, they would nuke it, they'd change it, nerf all the guns. Now they're useless, they're so garbage, so you have to keep playing and often buy stuff in the store in order to figure out what the new meta is. It seems to me like that might be exactly what's happening here, which is a little bit of a bummer. Hassan, by the way, thank you for becoming a member. Appreciate you. Maybe they're just going to sell re-rolls. Dude, if that's what they're doing this for, I don't know. But I would say even with it working the way it did before, they could have just left it that way as it's described here and sold re-rolls, and that would have been fine. For what they were trying to do. I wouldn't have liked it, to be clear, but I think that would have achieved their same goal.
They obviously knew this when they made the game, though.
By the way, shout out to my wife, Nikki. She made homemade pretzels, and she brought me one down. Ooh, baby. I'm a sucker for pretzels, I'll tell you what.
Made it that way, and yet they still seem totally surprised that people were using this to their advantage. And so what did they do? They decided that this is bad. They nerfed crit damage, they nerfed vulnerable damage, both of them an insane amount. They nerfed cooldown reduction because they didn't like that people were having fun with that stat. They nerfed a ton of defense.
I mean, I don't think that's fair. I think they, like, either they're just incompetent or there's something else going on. But it wasn't because they were like, oh, people enjoy this thing, so we're going to nerf it. They were like, people are using this thing because, and that's like the mainstay mechanic that everybody has to use, so we're going to nerf it so that not everybody's using the same ability. We want you to be able to use all different abilities in combination. In other words, finding the meta and then breaking it so that you're forced to try something else, which in the context of a live service game, makes sense. They want you to keep playing and experimenting with all sorts of different builds. Makes sense. But just saying it's because they saw people were having fun and so they broke it is like a little reductive.
Defensive affixes on gear that made people actually able to take part in high-end content of the game. And why did they do all of this? Because they wanted to make the affixes on gear feel more equal so that you wouldn't feel pressed to have one over the other. What a load of horseshit. These affixes aren't equal because that's just how the game works. Some of them will be better than others. You specifically put all of the affixes in the game. You knew which affixes you were putting in. You knew some of them would be better than others. And you made the ones that you genuinely realized were better be rarer to acquire. So you clearly knew that they were all good. You made the enchanter prioritize certain ones when you realized that they were important, so you clearly knew that they were good, but because you want people to use weird niche flat damage increases instead, you reduced vulnerable damage upgrades across the board by 40%? That's insane. Yes, I agree that vulnerable was arguably too strong. It just was. Your build was at a significant disadvantage if you didn't have a way to apply vulnerable, and having vulnerable damage stats on gear was really good. And yet, this does not fix that. This change doesn't change that. Vulnerable is still a multiplier, and so even without any vulnerable damage boosts on gear, having vulnerable is still really strong. You're still forcing people to use those skills. All you did was punish the people who were already using it, and the people who were stacking the damage to actually make it a little bit better. Yes.
I mean, to be fair, almost any sort of balancing feels like a punishment to people using it already. Like, it was one of the frustrations people had when Activision would go in and they would nerf one of the meta guns and make it useless. And it was like, well, but I just started using it and I was getting really good with that weapon, and now that weapon's useless. It's like, yeah, that's exactly the point, because they want you to have to go find a new build, so you keep playing, you keep experimenting. That's how they do it. Like, I guess with all of this, I understand why he's upset. I understand why people say this is a really bad update, but I guess I don't see why anybody is surprised by this. Like, this is how live service games work, you know? Like, I feel like I'm missing something. I guess if we're just making videos and things to like complain about it, it makes sense, but still, I feel like I'm missing something. Inhabor, thank you. Strange seeing you live on here instead of YouTube, but much love, man. Love the content. Thank you, my friend. And yeah, we're co-streaming, so we're here on YouTube and on TikTok at the same time. It's really trippy to me as well. Rich, what am I building? I am currently assembling some Scarab Occult Terminators. Really useful in like 2,000 point matches in Warhammer. So we're putting it together. Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby.
This does even the playing field, but it doesn't make the people who are doing low damage closer to the people doing high damage. It just pushes everyone down a ton in a really strange way. Just why? Why do this? Why do it in this way? Here's my biggest bit of constructive criticism here. These nerfs, they could be acceptable, but not in this way. You cannot apply this big of a nerf to the entire player base in one single patch, and you absolutely can't do it without also offering some significant buffs in other areas to compensate it. You have to make people actually want to play the game, and they did add some buffs, but they didn't add enough to compensate for just how much they destroyed certain things.
I agree. Dropping 65% reductions on stuff out of nowhere, at the same time you're dropping debuffs on all sorts of stuff at the same time, it's going to make it so you could have a build that's very carefully built out and is very, very good. You log in on Sunday, it works great. You log in on Monday, all of a sudden it's totally useless. It's not able to keep up with the bosses you're taking on, the dungeons you're crawling, like you're screwed. And that sucks. Like, it probably is better served, the audience and player base is better served by doing this incrementally, very slowly, so that it's not just like a system shock, you know? Brandon, you're a YouTube legend. Love seeing you on TikTok. Cheers. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate you and calling me a YouTube legend. Jeez, that's a lot. I don't even know how to respond to that. Is Nikki recovering from the birth? Yeah, no, Nikki's doing very, very well. She's doing very well. She's a super trooper. She got that baby, a 10-pound, 6-ounce baby. She got that baby out in 7 minutes of pushing. That's insane. I almost didn't make it back with my Starbucks. Like, I'm kidding. I did not go and get Starbucks in the middle of delivery. Okay, I did not do that. But like, it literally could have been from when, if somebody like left the hospital room to go to the bathroom, and they like sit down, they do their business, they're scrolling TikTok. And then like they come back in, there would be a baby. Like, that's how quickly she got that baby out of there. It was insane. It was like actually crazy. Yeah, 10 pounds, 6 ounces. She's a legend. Yeah, it's ridiculous. If you've never had a child, if you don't have a spouse who's had the child, or if you're just not familiar with it, normally it's like half an hour to 2 hours of pushing, and then also like a day of like active labor. So it's like a 24-hour process a lot of the time. And we went in there, It was just like a day at the office. She just was like, yep, let's push out the baby. It was ridiculous. It was outrageous. That's a huge baby. Yeah, Josh, it was. Well, and it was like, okay, so maybe this is like, I think it's cute. We saw my buddy Caleb and his wife. He had a daughter back in late May, like mid to late May. So she at this point is going on 2 months old. And we just saw them like earlier last week. And it was, just we went out for breakfast. It was really, really nice. But little Orion is like 3 going on 4 weeks old at the time. And his head is like massive. His head is huge, because most of his weight's in his noggin. He's got lots of brains. And this little girl who's a month older than him is lighter and has a way smaller head, is just way tinier across the board. It's crazy. It's crazy. They showed us I'll just demonstrate this with MS Paint because I can. They showed us the little like chart, his growth chart. And so how it works is like, it's usually graphs like this. And it's like, oh, so the red line is 50th percentile. The yellow line is 25th percentile. The black line is 75th percentile. The blue here is 100th percentile or 99th percentile, I guess is what it's called. And they're like, okay, and here's where your baby's charting. And it's like here, here, here. Like he is across the board way higher than the doctor's track. They're like, he's just a gigantic child. We don't know what to tell you, dude. He's just huge. So, yeah, Nikki's a superwoman for sure. I always find it so funny how much you use and love MS Paint. Yeah, I mean, it works, dude. It works. I bought one of those like Wacom tablet things to actually draw stuff out during videos and streams and stuff. And it just was so clunky and difficult to use that I was like, I'm just going to keep using MS Paint. Just going to keep doing it. And Monster, yeah, I am live on YouTube right now. Come over, say hi.
You have to make people feel like their time spent in the game so far has been meaningful in at least a little bit of a way, because doing this the way that they have, one gigantic nerf all at once without any truly compensating buffs has just killed most hype for Season 1. And when I say this is one of the biggest fumbles in recent gaming history, Season 1 hype was actually riding decently high. Season 1 is now a day away, but was just 2 days after this patch. This was their big opportunity to address some quality of life issues, buff off-meta playstyles to let people swap things up and try new things that are actually could be strong in the season, and just really incentivize and foster that excitement for the season, make people enjoy playing the game, make people more excited for what's to come. What did we get? An absolute dump truck of changes.
And maybe that's the better alternative. Instead of nerfing stuff and taking the meta and crushing it, maybe it's better to just buff other stuff so it becomes more powerful than even that current meta. And then afterwards, you can rebalance the old meta and bring it back down to a reasonable playing field. And then you just keep doing that. So it's kind of just like you boost this up, then you pull that down, you boost this up, then you pull that down. Whereas what they're doing now is they're just pulling stuff down. So it just feels really bad to the player. It just feels like, okay, you're just making all of my stuff worse. So it's just frustrating, The nerfs don't seem so bad when you realize you're making a new character tomorrow. Well, Josh, I think that's absolutely, what they are like banking on, is that a lot of people are going to be coming into the new season and not caring. My question, and I honestly don't know the answer to this, is how many of the players that are playing Diablo 4 currently, how many of them are more hardcore to the point where they're watching a video like this, where they're keeping up with streamers and YouTubers who cover this game in detail and are making their voices heard? And how many are just like casuals? We're like, no, I just play it. I don't really care what the updates are, what the meta is. I just play the game and have fun. I would guess, again, most players
Salvador
are
probably
Lloret
like that.
Farina super chatted $6.56.
Thank you.
Would you prefer to be lauded as national trinket, international treasure than an online legend?
An international treasure than an online legend. I don't even know. National trinket or international treasure. I'm just glad that anybody lauds me as anything. I'll take that. I'll do that. Thank you, my friend.
Just that feel like they scream, we actually want you to take a break from the game and come back later. To put it simply, up until this point, I've been very fair, I feel like. I've been giving the developers a really big benefit of the doubt sort of thing, where I've not been judging them too hard on the minor changes that they haven't been making, on the major changes that they've been taking a while with. It's a really big game, and getting it perfect before launch was never going to be 100% on point. It just wasn't. But every time they've done nerfs and they've not addressed quality of life stuff, I've just sort of kept my chin up. I've accepted it. I've said they're doing it in the future. Just give it a chance. Give it some time, right? But today, after this patch, even after sleeping on it, trying to calm down about this whole thing, it feels like we paid to beta test this game. These are not changes that feel like they should happen a month and a half after release. These are changes that feel like they should have happened before launch, but they clearly didn't have enough people testing the high-end content before that, creating builds in the endgame, testing stats in the endgame, all of that, and now it feels like they've used us, all the people who spent a load of money on this game, to tell them, hey, this stuff is strong, by the way, and then they used that information to nerf the hell out of us.
I don't want to be like, I don't want to be dismissive, but this just comes off to me as like whiny bullcrap. Like, I get it. You're upset that your build is nerfed. I totally understand that. It sucks when that happens. But like, again, you're talking about a game that has thousands of hours of content, an insane amount of content, and is extremely complicated. And now you're upset that they're trying to balance it after new stuff has been discovered since release. Like, I think if the point is, like, I think there's just a lot being said here, probably because emotions are high. If the point is you're upset because they're balancing, I think that's a stupid thing. If your point is you are frustrated that they are like allegedly nerfing, but the thing that they're nerfing doesn't need to be nerfed, or that what they're doing is not actually fixing the problem, that's a separate issue. Like, I think it's great that they're still working on it, trying to balance it, trying to do stuff like that. That's good. After launch, especially, like, I have no problem with that. So his point currently is just dumb to me. But what he said before with like the changes they're making are not actually fixing anything, that's what should be focused on. It's just really dumb to be like, well, I'm really upset that they are like rebalancing stuff and changing things after the game launched. They should have done this before. Like, of course, millions of players actively trying to break the game and find whatever the min-max option is. Of course they found stuff that the devs didn't see coming. It would be impossible for them to account for everything. Like, actually impossible. So it's just kind of silly to me. Which class am you if I play Diablo? Oh, I go Necromancer. It's just fun. I like blowing up the bodies. It's just really satisfying. There are some like min-max things you can do with that, where you can chain effects together with the Necromancer stuff. So you can get some work done with it. This sounds a bit intense. Lol, was the game not already packed with content? Once again, sounds like some entitled BS. Yeah, I think what this comes off to me as is this is high emotions. This is somebody that plays a lot of this game, that cares about it, wants it to be really successful, and is frustrated that the devs are coming in and instead of trying to gently fix a problem, they're just bashing stuff with a hammer to see if they can make something happen. Like, and that just, it's like these models that I'm building. Like, if you have these models and there's a little piece of plastic that's hanging off, just a tad, just a little bitty piece of plastic. See if my hand focuses at all. Like, if there's a little piece of plastic hanging off of one of these figurines, you have to go in and you need the X-Acto knife and you have to carefully trim it off. That's how you get it in balance. That's how you get it where you want it to be. And this guy's frustrated that instead of doing that, these devs seem to be using an axe to chip off just a little problem, and they're just taking an axe to the problem and seeing if they can fix it that way. And that to me is a worthy frustration as somebody who's invested thousands of hours into this game. However, I think like focusing on and then complaining about stuff like that, they're fixing it, that they're trying to balance stuff, that's a stupid concern. Like, so I'm just asking for a little more specificity. And I think the reason it's all blending together is because he's just generally frustrated. So I would watch Asmongold's thoughts on this, but he did like a series of reactions, kind of like we're doing now, and his video is an hour and a half long. I don't know if I can dedicate 3-4 hours of the stream to that. To going through the whole thing. Joe Raptor. Oh baby.
They say
Oops, I hit play accidentally. Joe Raptor, the man, the myth, the legend. Joe Raptor, for those of you not aware, like on TikTok Live, is also a YouTube legend, the one and only. I think I can get you on. I might have to build a couple of scenes to get this working also on YouTube or on the TikTok streaming thing. I'm not actually sure how it will work, but we shall see. Let me pull up Discord. Hold on. Getting Joe Raptor on here. That's a special occasion. Oh, I'm sorry, Joe Raptor. I see you sent some messages. Let's see. Do tomorrow, off week, yes, and I work most of that. That's totally fine. And yeah, Jor, all of that works great. Sorry I missed your messages, Jor. I put all my stuff in Do Not Disturb because we started the stream. Let's see. Just came from a YouTube event. It was pretty interesting. Oh, we've got to ask Jor Raptor about the YouTube event. Did you go and like talk to the people who are making it happen, who make the sausage where it gets made? Oh man, yeah, give us the inside scoop. Let me get this sound up. Okay, I'm gonna try calling you. OBS virtual camera, that works. Actually, I don't know if that will work. Actually, how do I... Because this camera is being used... Let's see if this breaks the TikTok live. I don't actually know if it will. Let's see. Let's see if we can get Joe Raptor in here. Did it break it? No, I don't think it broke it. I'll try talking again.
Hello.
He's here, guys. He's here.
Yes.
He is with us.
Wow. Ooh.
He's always with us.
It's
Here.
like for people can hear me now, right?
I think so. Everybody, yeah, crystal clear. Good.
Crystal clear. Nice. Thanks everyone for the kind stuff in the chat there. So I should have like let you know like beforehand, but we're like taking 2 weeks kind of off from the channel, so that's why I'm not really in the work mode. But I did have like a YouTube event. It's like 10:30 p.m. right now. So I had this whole day with this YouTube event where they were trying to convince people to make shorts. That's what the deal was.
That was like the whole thing.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. There were like a lot of YouTubers, because we've of course been doing this for a really long time. That were like, "Oh, I started 6 months ago, and now I have 700,000 because I only make shorts." Because like shorts, of course, reaches way more people, so it's like a whole new sort of game. And they're trying to convince other people that are now on TikTok or that are making like long form videos to make shorts as well. And they gave some insights. It was like at a golf club, so you could also like play some golf if you wanted. They like took over the whole thing.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was like a pretty big event. It was like in Amsterdam. A lot of people showed up. Did like a barbecue, and now I'm back home again.
Oh, well, there you go. So the whole like premise of the event was just make shorts.
Yeah. Well, I also signed an agreement. I'm now have to make shorts, like 5 shorts a day for the rest of my no. But it was kind of like
I was like,
pushing
wow,
you to...
that's pretty.
No, it was really about like just because it's like still kind of new. It's like 2 years old now. And if for everyone watching, of course, they know YouTube has been pushing shorts a lot. It's of course like short form content is the big new thing. And they're like their biggest competitor right now is TikTok. And they're seeing like, I think it was like 50 billion short views a day. So it's like crazy. 1.5 billion people watch shorts every day. So they're like pushing everyone to make short form content. Although the big thing that I kind of saw at the event from people that are really big on TikTok and Shorts is that those people don't watch their long form videos, so they don't get like revenue or anything.
Yeah.
That was kind of the interesting thing. But it's always interesting. Like 5 years ago, I think you and I would not have predicted that short form content would be the next big thing. Of course, at one point it was streaming, then it was short form. So yeah, here we are.
It is really
And
interesting. I mean, we're co-streaming right now on TikTok as well. We just got that working.
Nice. Hello.
So very topical. And it is really interesting that there is so much like focus on it, because you're right. There's not a lot of conversion between short form, where somebody watches like a 10-second clip, and somebody going and subscribing to your channel where you post 20-minute videos or half-hour videos or hour-long videos. It's very, very, very different. And that conversion is what's really tricky, because just in case people are not aware in chat, you can't really make a living just off of TikTok views, like unless you are a giga huge creator. They have like the TikTok Creator Fund, which is a new thing that they're starting to do. They also have a beta program where they're trying to incentivize people to create stuff on TikTok by paying them. But just to put it in perspective, like on YouTube for ads, if I have a video do like 1,000 views, for each 1,000 views that I get, I might make, depending on the time of year and a bunch of other factors, I might make between like $4 and $6 for 1,000 views. And pretty good. And when you think about like a 1 million view video, okay, that starts to add up. Between $4,000 and $6,000 for 1 million views. Okay. On TikTok, it is nowhere near that. The plans they're discussing right now are like, instead of $5 for 1,000 views, it would be like maybe 2-3 cents, maybe.
Yeah.
Like maybe. And on YouTube, they're running into the same problem, because people like scrolling endlessly with really quick content, but people don't at all like scrolling 3 times and then getting hit with an ad, and then scroll 3 more times, get hit with another ad. It just doesn't work. And the advertisers don't like that either. So they have a real problem with how they're going to monetize it.
Yeah, but one of the inside scoops, and thanks everyone for saying I love the shirt. That's really cool. I actually
It's a very good
went
shirt.
to I actually went shopping the other day. Got a lot of like new Hawaiian like sort of shirts like this.
Oh,
So,
Jor's loosening up.
Yeah. No, but what they were saying is that right now, if the advertiser wants to buy ads on YouTube, they have to buy like regular ads, and then shorts is like included, or it's like a separate option. You cannot, as an advertiser right now, only buy short ads. So that's interesting. So they might like change that up, which maybe increases the amount of money that goes to short content. So I do think that YouTube has like a huge leg up versus TikTok, where they can totally get a lot of people to move away from that platform or take shorts more seriously, because even now you do get more money from shorts. It's like, although some people or it's still like not great. It's like 10 million views, someone said, and they get like 400 euros. So
Jeez,
not
man.
great, but yeah.
I will say also, the algorithms, you would think, oh, it's just short form content, it's got to be pretty similar. We have been putting out a lot of short form stuff. And like, for example, 2 days ago, we posted one on TikTok. That video is at like 4, I guess I can check right now. We'll do it live. So right now, that TikTok we posted 2 days ago is at 418,000 views. On YouTube, that exact same video is at like 1.2 thousand. It's really weird, because you would think if the video's good to drive short form engagement, it'll do well on all those platforms. But for whatever reason, TikTok for us has been far more accurate at recommending our videos to people than YouTube's short algorithms. Please.
Because I learned that today as well. So TikTok is really like about, I think, what's going on in the moment right now, and they will just push videos and then see how well they perform. How they described it to me, because I actually asked this to the lady from YouTube who was like explaining this stuff. So they go, instead of like pushing content to viewers, they say that that the viewer pulls content towards them. It's kind of course a fancy way of saying it, but basically that the viewer will see things that they watched and follow. But if they, for example, get a new interest, or are not aware that they or will like something in a few weeks, like a good example is, for example, a brand new game comes out and you immediately on launch day start making content for that game, those shorts will not do well. But then on launch day, those people start watching those videos. So then in 2 weeks' time, it's usually this 2-week sort of point. Then the shorts suddenly sees, wait, this person is watching God of War Ragnarok shorts, for example. Now I'm going to recommend those shorts. So there's like a delay in the short algorithm versus TikTok, which is like an interesting. And yeah, so for shorts, you really have to think in evergreen content, while in TikTok, it really has to be what's hot right now. That's kind of my
interesting
overall take on it. Yeah.
We ran into some hiccups with that because we did I did a video. It was like maybe a week or two before Hogwarts Legacy dropped, and the whole like YouTube short was just, the game looks great, but the last game this studio put out was like Cars 3 Need for Speed for the win or whatever. And I was like, so they might pull it off. It might be amazing. It might also be really rough, but the fact that it looks really good right now, I would guess lands it at like an 8 out of 10. I think it'll be good, but don't expect this to be something magical, right? And that video, same thing with like the YouTube short delay. Now that you say that, it makes sense, because that video is still recommended to people all the time. Whenever they look up anything Hogwarts related, Harry Potter related, that same short gets recommended to people. And in the context of the game having already released, people are like, wow, cringe. The game came out and was actually really good. What's this guy talking about? Like, it's just really funny. But I do think you're right. Like, if you try to just copy and paste TikToks over to shorts or vice versa, because the algorithms are different, it'll perform differently. They're going to hit different audiences in different ways. So that's interesting. That's really interesting.
And because and I'm not sure how interesting this is for everyone watching, but because we're kind of getting in the weeds. But like another thing is that if you make something that people have an opinion about, like you're saying here, they're saying, dude, the game has already been released, it was amazing. Then the algorithm sees that as like engagement. So that's why it kind of makes sense that the video is still performing well right now, because every time someone sees it, like, what the heck is this guy talking about? It's amazing. So you can also make content kind of. I for example made a very triggering Assassin's Creed in 2011 and Assassin's Creed in 2020, and I had like Revelations, I think it was, with like a cool hidden blade kill, and it was like awesome. And then I had the Iron Man armor from How Things Change. Everyone was triggered by that. Like, Ubisoft, what the heck? And we all know that was like just a Helix item they released at one point. But yeah, that's why that video did really, really well, because everyone was like, making comments as well. So
I saw another thing where like people intentionally misspell captions and stuff in their YouTube shorts, because then people go to the comment section and are like, wow, idiot doesn't know how to spell. And that's engagement. And the YouTube algorithm looks at that and is like, good job. That was awesome. And so I would like them to shift the algorithm in a way where you don't have to chase engagement in that sort of toxic way, because there are some people really good at it. And it's just really frustrating that that's what you have to do if you want to find success on the shorts platform. Whereas on TikTok, at least to me, it feels like if you just make a video that's kind of captivating and that people want to watch, it seems to be much more heavily balanced towards watch time than anything else. Whereas YouTube Shorts ties in with, the titling, the rest of the content on your channel, the viewer's experience and exposure to you. There's a lot more factors, I think, there. So
Yeah, for sure. And also, if you have like if you like play that sort of negative game or make mistakes on your own, then I don't think people will follow as fast. So it's like, what do you actually gain? Yeah, sure, more views, but those viewers won't stay because they think, oh, this is weird. Like I have a negative reaction to that video.
Mhm.
Either way, I'm still like in that creator mindset. Met some cool people there. Had some drinks. Was kind of nice. And I saw you were still live, so I thought, hey, let's wreck this stream.
Yeah,
Let's
drop
enjoy
in,
it.
shake it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. I would love
So
to
you
go
want to
one
do
of
like
those
the
ones.
podcast tomorrow then?
Yeah,
Or
I think
so
that
the
works.
viewers know that too.
Tomorrow, I will double check with the missus because we might
Please
have
do.
doctor's appointment. But yeah, we can check on that, and I'll send you a
That would be
DM.
great.
And we'll
Yeah.
do our regular podcast. For those of you not familiar, we do a weekly podcast. It's good fun.
Yeah, because I think we still have quite some stuff to talk about. It's like July is usually super quiet, but now with the whole the Blizzard thing, and also like a lot of leaks have happened. I'm not sure if you've been keeping an eye on that.
yeah, a lot of leaks. There was some stuff with where did the comment go? I just saw it. Yeah, Red Dead 1 remake potentially coming down the pike. So lots to talk about, I think.
Yeah, and also it's like that was part of the one of the tweets from I think a credible leaker like GTA 6 reveal trailer will release in November. Release date is 2024. Will likely be pushed, but and then the Red Dead Redemption remake will be revealed in August, probably Gamescom, and then released in October or November.
That's a layup right
A
there.
PlayStation show in August. I mean, we of course have to be kind of wishy-washy because we hear these rumors like often. A Borderlands compilation Pandora's box. We talked about like 2K wanting to launch 2 iterations of previously released games, so this is probably the second one of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting stuff.
Lots to
The
talk about.
Mirage ESRB, did you see it? We're not gonna talk about it here.
I did not see it actually.
Okay, don't look it up because
Don't look it-
it
okay.
spoils the game. Yeah.
Oh crap. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I saw a tweet, spoilers for Mirage, and I was like, and I still saw it.
Is it like
was-
real
yeah.
bad, or is it one of those things where it's like, if you're super nitpicky, it's a spoiler? But
Nah, I wish I didn't know it because I always thought this was probably going to happen or play some part in it, and now they basically confirmed it. Or you can like kind of fill it in the blanks, and it was not needed for them to spoil this in ESRB, and of course, Ubisoft can't do anything about it. We know we have Roller Champions shutting down, which is interesting.
what?
Yeah, or actually, like they're on maintenance mode. They basically announced, "Hey, we're not doing any updates anymore."
Oh
So,
man.
Yeah, pretty big. And Ubisoft is doing I'm not sure if you're a fan of the Invisible show. Let me know in the chat if you guys watched it. Otherwise, you should. It's like another one of those The Boys, Peacemaker kind of superhero things that I at least am like super interested in because like doesn't take itself too seriously and is kind of brutal as well. So they're making a mobile game for that, Ubisoft, which is interesting. And they actually have their financials tomorrow, after the time that we would record. So then we will learn about either if Star Wars is really in early 2024 or if they already pushed it. They are doing a San Diego Comic-Con like panel as well, the Star Wars Outlaws team.
Yeah, I actually had
So,
I think it was the head of QA. He reached out to me on Twitter because he saw the videos we did on Avatar and on Star Wars, and he's super upbeat and positive. And I hope those games are great. I really do. That team is very, very capable. I think this is their chance to prove themselves. It's going to be interesting because they have to release Avatar first, and then they go into Star Wars Outlaws, which I think a lot more people are optimistic about. But yeah, if they might make an oopsie with the Avatar thing, or maybe it comes out and it's just like a solid 8 out of 10. You never know.
Yeah. I did see your video on the how big is the map for Star Wars Outlaws. I didn't watch it yet, but I am curious to discuss
Oh
that.
yeah, the live stream clip. Yeah, some people I think were taking it out of context and
Okay.
were saying like, oh well, I think because the exact quote is like it's 2 to 3 times this, or 2 to 3 zones of Odyssey for each
It's one planet.
world.
Yeah.
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 And I had seen people saying 2 to 3 times the size of Assassin's Creed Odyssey's map for each planet. And I was like, that no. No. Very, very different. Like very, very different.
And to be fair, I think that's not that big.
It's like it's just,
Because 2 zones in Odyssey, I'm sorry, but
it's really not like that. It's the
No,
opposite of the story
not.
that was being told. I was like, it's
yeah.
like
But I
maybe
think people are just still like, it's mostly like game journalists though that are just like, they have to like, of course, beat this game in a week, and then they see Odyssey and they're like, no.
yeah, jeez, please. No.
And I do think they have just this thing in their mind where it's like, oh damn, here we go again. So if they hear that game, well, I think it's a good, like, it gives me an idea of how big these planets are. Not that big.
Mhm.
But I mean, if there are 6 planets, then it's still like a pretty big game, because there would be 8 Odyssey zones. How many zones did Odyssey have? A bit more, but still.
Yeah, like I think to just show everybody, like if we go to the interactive map of Odyssey,
Oh yeah.
like
Can you
this
see
island was like,
the borders.
yeah, you can kind of see it because it's kind of broken down by territory, so they don't have the overlay with it, but
So like the whole part right there where your mouse is, like, that's Kefalonia, like that part is like 2 zones, I think.
so like
Yeah, that's pretty,
each planet map would be probably like the size of this little peninsula, and then maybe another planet is the size of this little Athens area, and then another planet is the size of this, I don't remember what this island was called with the Minotaur, but like
these are
this
2,
size.
yeah.
So that's the size of each planet, which if it's handcrafted is probably going to be a lot. Like there's probably a good amount of stuff to do there. But when I saw some people tweeting out and like some articles from various websites saying, oh, it's 2 to 3 times the zone of Odyssey's map, the singular zone, like the whole
How is
map.
it even possible?
It's like, that is insane. Like, no.
Think for 1 second, please.
It's so stupid, guys.
Why would Ubisoft make a game? I mean, Fallout was like, of course, quite. Wait, yeah, not like 2 times. No, 1.5 times larger.
It's
than
tricky because
Fallout.
like Odyssey has so much water.
Yeah,
It's tough to count it. Like if you scrunched all the land up together, it's got to be smaller than Valhalla by a lot. But yeah, it was just people being stupid.
We have Mutasa saying, "Are you guys seeing Barbie and Oppenheimer?" I'm not sure if you have plans, but I do.
Oh, Barbie first, of course. I do not have tickets yet or anything, but yeah, I do really want to see Oppenheimer. The tricky thing is where I live, there's an IMAX like an hour and a half away. And then they just opened one place that says it's IMAX. It's got the sign out on the front, but I've heard that 70 millimeter IMAX and then like a smaller form factor IMAX are not the same thing. And I'm guessing this is like a little knockoff IMAX. So if I'm going to see it, I want to see it in like the full crazy theater, but I don't know. What's your plans with it?
Yeah, I'm actually seeing Oppenheimer on Friday in the crazy where they have like the whole big IMAX sort of thing playing. So yeah, that will be the full experience this Friday. So I'm excited for that. And Barbie, I want to go to, but it's not like that I'm in a hurry or anything. So
It's not a priority for you?
No, weirdly enough. But I do think though that it's gonna do gangbusters, because I'm seeing people that are normally like never going to the movies already like lining up, because it was like the night was like the first time that the people could watch it in the Netherlands, and I'm seeing like people with like Barbie outfits going there, and
Really? Oh,
yeah, I think it's gonna be pretty successful. And it's like seems to be fine as well. Like it doesn't take itself too seriously, and might actually be a fun movie. I see Rocky here is going to watch them both back to back. But the question is, which one will you watch first? Obviously.
Yeah, that's what's cool. We got to know where your priorities lie. For real.
Yeah. Or which one you want to remember more? Because usually when I go to two movies one by one, I already forgot the first one. Like it's like not for me.
I don't think I've ever
did
seen a movie back to back though. I don't think I've ever done that.
I did the Hobbit sort of when because I did like the first one, and then we had like a sort of night opening for the second one. But I
Mhm.
actually fell asleep during the second one because like these movies are 3 hours,
Yeah.
and I started at 9, and then at 12 we would watch the new one, and at like 2 a.m. I was like, and it was like a really bad movie, so didn't miss anything. But yeah, that's kind of my experience.
Yeah.
I did watch Mission Impossible.
Oh, is that
That's
good?
really, yeah, I loved it.
Oh.
Really, really cool.
Oh. Take your Nuka-Cola stash with you. Yeah, of course. I'll wear. You're gonna watch to go see Oppenheimer then? Yeah. Well, I'm just very interested. I love Christopher Nolan. He's amazing.
Same.
Well, that all works. We'll settle up with the podcast. We'll figure out when we're doing that. We'll tackle that. I am about to explode, so I'm going to go on a quick bathroom break. When we come back, everybody in chat, we will go and do our little segment on Duke Nukem. It's going to be awesome. And yeah, we'll just go from there. But we'll see you soon, Mr. Jor Raptor.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Yes, let me know if tomorrow works, and then hope to see everyone in the chat as well for like another streamer. We got some cool stuff. We already gave a cool tease. We got some cool stuff to discuss.
It's going to be a good time. Okay.
Thanks for letting me crash.
Sounds good.
Good luck with the rest of the stream.
Thank you. Talk to you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, the one and only Joe Raptor. Stunning, brave, and beautiful. Like I said, everybody, I'm about to explode. So I'm going to run to the restroom real quick. We're going to come back. We're going to tackle the rest of this Duke Nukem stuff, and we'll go from there. So I will put on some... Where did I put it? I don't know where I put it. I'm going to put on some Witcher music. I'll be like 2 minutes. I'm just going to go pee. And then I shall return post tense. The Witcher 3. I can't type. Okay, everybody. I will be back. Okay. Wait patiently. I'll be back. I don't have a button for the BRB screen, so I'm just gonna have to roll with it. Okay, I'll be right back. Be right back. Okay, I'm back. I swear. Okay. Oh man. Do 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 do. Am I crazy? I think it should have the option like Dragon Age, especially as role-playing game. Bird's eye view makes me feel like God watching over my character was third person allows roleplay. It is interesting. The isometric thing is actually very much polarizing. I don't think you're alone in that. I've heard from many people that they're like, oh, I was gonna play Baldur's Gate, but the isometric view, man, it turns me off. I don't think you're alone. I think a lot of people are like that. And I would like encourage you, just try it. It's not the end of the world. It really is not. But I understand it's kind of a turn off for a lot of people. It's just not what they'd prefer. But the isometric view is not, it's not horrible. It's not horrible at all. Okay, close that. Okay. I was quite shocked Luke has to use the toilet. I was assuming. Dude, I've seen some other streamers who will just get up and go, like I saw one clip of, I think it was DSP, where he just got up and he's like, hey guys, I'm gonna run and grab McDonald's real quick. I'll be back. And he just got up and left for like 25, 30 minutes with the stream still going. It's like, how does that work? is that a thing? Like, is that really a thing? Maybe it is, and I'm the weird one. But it was also, maybe somebody can tell me in chat why someone would do this. I saw earlier Dr. Disrespect was going live, and he started streaming 2 hours before he was set to actually go live. And the title of the stream was, I'll be going live at 12 p.m. Pacific. And then he just kind of like had the stream on the thumbnail of the stream, just sitting there for 2 hours. Like, was that, I don't know what the plan for that was. Like, is that some sort of meta play? Is that what I should be doing too? Higher watch time because you just have it sitting there? I don't know. There's got to be a reason he would do it that way, right? I just don't know what it is. Thank God the cap was on. To build hype and get people in, it actually works. But for 2 hours though? Like, I understand that, but 2 hours? Oh, the screen tearing's already starting.
I'm back, baby.
Oh, man. Oh. Shake it, baby. This is quite the intro sequence. Okay. Copyright 2011, Gearbox Software. So, For those of you not familiar with this game, it was in development hell for a long time. Turn on VSync, see if that fixes the screen tearing. And years and years went by. Everybody thought the game was just dead. And then it finally emerged. They released it in 2011. And yes, keep these settings. Oh, is it capped at 60 now? Yeah. Well, if it keeps the screen tearing at bay, I'll manage. Ultra. Okay, FOV. I do need. Change the field of view can cause conflicts in regular gameplay, and it is not recommended. 75 is so narrow, though. Okay, fine. I'll just do that. There's also a weird delay with the mouse movement. I don't know how to describe it other than it's like... It's just like a weird delay with the mouse move. That's really strange. Oh man, that's gonna bug the crap out of me. Okay, well, off to a great start. Off to a great start. Let's see. Piece of cake, let's rock. Okay, what you got, Duke?
Those alien bastards are gonna pay for shooting up my ride.
Oh.
This is taking forever. Time to stop pissing around and get this big guy back into action.
Oh. Wow. Okay, so they just start the game with you at the urinal. How long will it let me pee?
Much better.
Look at those reflections, baby. That's what I don't get. Why did these games from like 2011 have all this? I know it's not ray tracing. It's like they have a separate camera and then they project it onto this screen. Like I get it, but still, I think this looks like for a 2011 game, looks right about on par with what you'd get from ray tracing these reflections. The lighting, of course, is not as good as ray tracing, but still, that's pretty impressive for 2011. Man, the mouse is gonna kill me.
Alpha team straight up the middle. Blake, flank left. Phillips and I head around. That's step 2. Step 3 is,
Operation Cockblock.
Profit?
right. You ready? 1, 2, break!
Okay.
What do you think, Duke? Want to add something to the whiteboard?
What is he gonna do? All the buttons are like weirdly glitched, so the E is underneath the text
We could
for
really
it.
use some input, Duke. If you just want to add your thoughts to the plan now, would be a good time, Duke. Hey, check out the red marker. Smells like cherries.
Okay. I mean, this is kind of fun. They let you draw on it.
Oh, man! Good plan, Duke.
You can erase parts of it. Okay. This is a little stupid fun. I'll give him that. This is fun. I can appreciate
That's
this.
genius.
How do I... Is it E? Does that work?
Hey, check out the red marker. Smells like cherries.
I already did.
Oh man, that is. I mean, I don't understand.
Get ready!
Okay.
Shit! Look at the size of that motherfucker! What the hell do we do? Incoming!
I forgot to grab the poop. What?
Hey pal, what are you gonna do? Save the world all by yourself? Alien spotted! Watch out! Incoming! Alright, we got him. That Devastator's all yours, Duke.
Okay.
It's down to you and me, you one-eyed freak.
Honestly, for 2011, it doesn't look bad.
Come in, Delta Kappa Echo. Come in, Delta Kappa Echo. Acknowledge. This is Yankee 19.
I don't have any ammo.
Supply is on the way. Ammo supplies are dropped.
Ammo supplies are dropped, okay. Where? There's also a really weird, like, artifacting over the front. Oh, right there. Okay. Like, this is technically rendering at 4K, and yet things in the distance are super blurry. I don't know what that is. But, like, look at that text. That's, like, hilariously blurry for being at 4K, you know?
Ammo supplies are dropped. Smoke rails mark the spot.
I don't know what that button is. Space?
Ammo dump is in progress, dude. Look for the smoke trail.
Kick a field goal.
It's good.
Yeah, it's pretty stupid. That's pretty dumb.
Oh yeah, right there. Oh yeah.
That was fun. Was it good for you, baby? What about the game, Duke? Was it any good?
Yeah, but after 12 fucking years, it should be.
Well, anytime you want to play again, just let us know. Look, Duke, they're playing our video. Your hair looked so good that day. I know, right? So did yours.
Tune in tonight at midnight to see my interview with the one, the only Duke Nukem. He'll talk about his new... And there are still no reports of any activity from the alien ships.
In his speech on Thursday, the president said he remains cautious but optimistic regarding the recent alien visitation. He urged all citizens to avoid taking any actions that may seem aggressive, such as discharging firearms or making lewd gestures in the vicinity of the ships. On a related note, Giddy Flora's flower shop has filed the
Okay.
I don't know. It all still sounds pretty scary. I can see the ships from here. I wonder if it's the same aliens you had to fight 12 years ago. Of course they are, silly. Why do you think they came back? It's because Duke lives here, hello. But you'll protect everyone if the president is wrong about them, won't you, Duke? You sure haven't lost your touch. Oh, Duke, be careful out there. We'll see you at the party after the show, Kay?
Oh.
See you at the party.
Huh. Okay. That was weird. That was weird. Big spaceship. Okay. Helicopters. Okay. Big city. Okay. It's a beautiful house, though. Give him that.
Damn, I'm looking good.
Okay. Like, so my understanding with this game is that in general, people were just like, it's kind of out of its
Scared of the dark.
its time.
Hold me. No, hold me.
I mean, but even that, being able to customize the lights and stuff, that's cool. You don't see that very often. Each one is its own switch. Wow. There's a little attention to detail there. Like, so far, I would not... Oh, God. Oh, just press one of them. Oh, it's 69 floors, because of course it is. Of course. Oh yeah, that screen tearing is brutal. Let's see about... Let's turn off VSync. Let's try this. And then sometimes if you take it out of full screen, it's okay too. Yeah. It's always a little unsettling when it takes this long to change. Well. I don't think it liked being taken off VSync. Yeah, I got no control. I got no nothing. Will it let me like Alt F4? No. Control Alt Delete maybe? So that's not good. We don't want that. Okay. And we're back. Jeez. Okay, so it basically black screened the entire computer, which is a little crazy. Okay, well, and the screen tearing was real bad, man. Real bad. Let's see. Well, I'm kind of scared to pop into it now. Hmm. Okay, well. Oh, it looks like screen tearing issues were present back at launch. Look at this. Old school Angry Joe. Old school Angry Joe. And he has a whole section in this video about this very thing.
Long load times every 10 minutes and very low res textures and backgrounds. And that's even if they load, if they pop in like 15 seconds after you've loaded up the game after waiting all that time.
Oof.
Now, granted, the graphics might look as you should expect from a game that started, 12 years ago, and that have been updated time after time again. Half of them are ugly, really low res, as if they didn't take the time to upgrade those particular textures, yet somehow found time to upgrade others. Now, some have defended this game by saying it's a blast from the past. This is the way it's supposed to be. That's just not the case. Why then does it have a 2-weapon limit from Halo? Instead of the full Duke arsenal, kill anything in any way you want? Or why does it have regenerating health a la Halo? No, this isn't a blast from the past, and you have to face the facts. It's a cookie cutter modern FPS with a Duke paint job. A damn good paint job, but ultimately it's hard to look over that your car is a piece of shit.
Oh, he picked up the poo and threw it. Oh, that's what you can do. Okay. That's wonderful. Real quick, excuse me, choke on my own throat. Unity, thank you so much for that, for the 2. Thank you. Appreciate you. I just think like back in the day, back in like 99, or if this came out in 2000, 2001, it probably could have done fine, but it was just caught in giga development hell for some reason. Did they ever figure out why? Duke Nukem Forever, Wikipedia. Let's see. Oh, dude, no, it went all the way back to 1997. Wow. Okay, so Duke Nukem Forever began development under 3D Realms and underwent a severely protracted development that lasted more than 14 years. Announced in 97 following the success of Duke Nukem 3D, it was delayed several times, which was attributed to engine changes, understaffing, and a lack of a development plan. After 3D Realms downsized in 2009, Duke Nukem Forever was finished by Triptych Games, Gearbox Software, and Piranha Games. It holds the Guinness World Record for the longest development for a video game. It was released on June 14th, 2011, and received mostly unfavorable reviews, with criticisms for its graphics, dated humor and story, simplistic mechanics, and unpolished performance and design. It did not meet sales expectations, but was deemed profitable by Take-Two Interactive, the owner of 2K Games. Wow. That's funny. So it was deemed profitable even after all that. That's crazy. That's wild. Unity, thank you for becoming a member. Appreciate you, my friend. Thank you. According to Miller, well, let's see. Okay. Development. In 1996, 3D Realms released Duke Nukem 3D, set apart from other first-person shooter games by its adult humor and interactive world. It received positive reviews and sold about 3.5 million copies, which back in the day, man, that's a lot. 3D Realms co-founder George Broussard announced the sequel, Duke Nukem Forever, on April 27th in 97, which he expected to be released by Christmas of 1998. Man, a 1-year turnaround time. Oh, Those were the days. The game was widely anticipated. Scott Miller, 3D Realms' co-founder, felt the Duke Nukem franchise would last for decades across many iterations like James Bond or Mario. Oof. Broussard and Miller funded Duke Nukem Forever using the profits from Duke Nukem 3D and other games. They gave the marketing and publishing rights to GT Interactive, taking only a $400,000 advance. 3D Realms also began developing a 2D version of Duke Nukem Forever, which was canceled due to the rising popularity of 3D games. Makes sense, probably a good choice. Rather than create a new engine, 3D Realms began development using id Software's Quake 2 engine. They demonstrated the first Duke Nukem Forever trailer at the E3 convention in '98. Critics were impressed by its cinematic presentation and action scenes with combat on a moving truck. Let's see. Do they have... Oh no, this is an article from way back in the day. Okay. According to staff, Broussard became obsessed with incorporating new technology and features from competing games and could not bear for Duke Nukem Forever to be perceived as outdated. That's a little ironic. Is anybody going to tell him? Let's see. So rather than create a new game engine, by 2000, Duke Nukem Forever was still far from complete. A developer who joined that year described it as a series of chaotic tech demos, and the staff felt that Broussard had no fixed idea of what the final game would be. Again, this is 2 years after they thought it would launch. As the success of Duke Nukem 3D meant that 3D Realms did not require external funding, they lacked deadlines or financial pressure that could have driven the project. Broussard became defiant in response to questions from fans and journalists, saying it would be released when it's done. In December of 2000, the rights to publish Duke Nukem Forever were purchased by Take-Two Interactive, which hoped to release the following year. By 2001, Duke Nukem Forever was being cited as a high-profile case of vaporware, and Wired gave it the Vaporware of the Year award. Oof, dude. At E3 2001, they released another trailer, the first public view of Duke Nukem Forever in 3 years. It received a positive response, and the team was elated, feeling that they were ahead of their competitors. However, Broussard still failed to present a vision for a final product. One employee felt that Miller and Broussard were developing a 1995 mentality with a team much smaller than other major games of the time. By 2003, only 18 people were working on Duke Nukem Forever full time. In a 2006 presentation, Broussard told journalists the team had effed up and had restarted development. Dude, that don't work. That don't work. By 2006, around half the team had left, frustrated by the lack of progress. I don't blame them. According to Miller, the Canadian studio Digital Extremes was willing to take over the project in 2004, but the proposal was rejected by others at 3D Realms. Miller later described this as a fatal suicide shot. In 2007, 3D Realms hired Raphael van Lierop as the new creative director. He was impressed by the game and felt it could be published and finished within a year, but Broussard disagreed. 3D Realms hired aggressively to expand the team to about 35 people. Still, it's insane to think of any like AAA game being made by 35 people, but those were the days, man. Brian Hook, the new creative lead, became the first employee to push back against Broussard in 2009. 3D Realms having exhausted its capital, Miller and Broussard asked Take-Two for $6 million to finish the game. After no agreement was reached, Broussard and Miller laid off the team and ceased development. Dude, can you imagine going to them after, at this point, over a decade in development, and asking for more money? Like, the balls. The balls to do that, dude. That's crazy. In September 2010, Gearbox Software announced that it had bought the Duke Nukem intellectual property from 3D Realms and would continue development of Duke Nukem Forever. So Gearbox, they're the ones that saved it. The Gearbox team included several members of 3D Realms' team, but not Broussard. That's probably for the best. On May 24th, 2011, Gearbox announced that Duke Nukem Forever had gone gold after 15 years. It holds the Guinness World Record for the longest development of any video game at 14 years, 44 days. And though this period was exceeded in 2022 by Beyond Good and Evil 2. Oh, so it doesn't hold the record anymore. Beyond Good and Evil 2 took it. That's crazy. In 2022, Miller released a blog post on the Apogee website about 3D Realms' failure to complete Duke Nukem Forever. He attributed it to three major factors: understaffing, repeated engine changes, and a lack of planning. On Twitter, he responded that Broussard responded that Miller's claims were nonsense, described him as manipulative and narcissistic, and accused him of blaming others. He blamed Miller for the loss of 3D Realms and the Duke Nukem intellectual property. I mean, just from this, it sounds like it was Broussard and Miller in combination, but Broussard was unwilling to take criticism, and it seems like they just got caught up in trying to just do something fancy, but they didn't actually know what the game was supposed to be. I mean, do you guys know about like the 6 Days to Air documentary from the South Park studio guys? The whole premise of the documentary is like, it's 6 days to air. They publish the episode on Wednesday, they take Thursday off, and then Friday through Wednesday, the South Park studio goes from no episode, no story, nothing, to finishing the story, having all of the voices captured, the whole episode rendered, and sent off to the executives for publication and distribution. So in 6 days, they make an entire episode of South Park. And one of the interesting things about it is that Matt Stone and Trey Parker, they said they actually really liked that system because they didn't have time for writer's block, which I think is really compelling. It's an interesting kind of twist on what you would think. You'd think, oh no, time crunch, you won't have time to come up with your best stuff. But it's the opposite. It's the opposite. It's actually that when you are crunched for time or finances or whatever, you don't have time to dilly-dally or to drag your feet on decisions. You just have to set it, forget it. You have to make it happen and move on. That's it. And this is a great example where they had a lot of success with Duke Nukem 3D, made a bunch of money, and then they were able to just go and take their time on the next game without the financial pressure of hit this deadline, do this, do that, do this. The publisher needs this by this date. They didn't have to do that because they had the money to do it the way they wanted. And it ended up hurting them really, really badly, which is fascinating because it's the opposite of what you would think. So yeah, completely off topic, but you have a fire-ass setup. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate you. Thank you. The bureaucracy is expanding to meet the needs of the expanding bureaucracy. Yeah, it kind of becomes this just balloon that's inflating because it has to inflate, and then it continues inflating because it was already inflating, or like a snowball. It just starts to build and build and build, and eventually it's like, well, you can't stop it. Can't stop it. So this whole thing is fascinating. And yeah, the Beyond Good and Evil 2 thing is fascinating as well. Because have you guys seen the original trailer for that? This trailer... No, Beyond Good and Evil 2 trailer. The original one. 2000, I think it was 2008. No, it's like buried. Six years ago, 11 years ago. Did they not have the original still? Dude, I remember watching the original. Hold on. It's like sort by upload date, but the opposite of it. Can I invert the upload date? Okay. YouTube's tools are not great for this. But if we just look back at this, this is, I'm sure, the trailer. Nope, this is not. Come on, dude. This is the trailer. So this trailer dropped in 2008. And this was the announcement trailer for this game. And it's been more than, I mean, at this point, 2008, it's been 15 going on 16 years since this was announced, and the game still is not released. That's ridiculous. That's silly. Like, it didn't look bad for the time, but it's like, I mean, it's a cinematic trailer. Just makes you wonder what this game would have been if it had launched when they originally planned it. Man, it's just so fascinating. Like, how do you go from having a concept like this, where you put a trailer together, to literally not having anything to show for a decade? And then when they do finally show it, it was in 2017, with like these, or this trailer. And the trailer looked pretty good. And now it's been in further 6 years since they showed off this like revamp of it, and still nothing. Like, it's just so fascinating to me that they can just burn all that time, all that money. It's amazing to me. It's fascinating. Sorry, also off topic, my buddy just admitted he'll need to restart his build in Diablo 4. His sorcerer got hella nerfed. Oh, that blows, dude. But wasn't season 1, isn't that like the whole point, is they're trying to force everybody to restart? Or am I thinking of like season 2, starting in season 2? Still, like, I understand why people are very frustrated by that patch. Does Ubisoft even want to make Beyond Good and Evil 2? Doesn't seem like it. I mean, there's probably a handful of problems at play. And I think part of it is like, once a project has been deemed vaporware, or like it's in development hell, nobody wants to work on that game, because very few games that get caught in development hell end up being good. Very, very, very few of them. So you aren't going to get very good talent. You might get some like students fresh out of universities that just want the experience that will join you and help you finish the game, but it's pretty rare. And so you don't have high quality talent. You don't have really high end, like accomplished game directors that want to jump on the project, because nobody wants to put their name on something that's going to be received poorly, because it's currently a train wreck, you know? Dead Island 2 is a miracle. Yeah, it came out and I thought it was pretty good. Pretty good. And for a game caught in development hell, that's all you can really ask for. So I agree. That was one of those exceptions to the rule, for sure. Makes me feel a lot better about Fable 4 and Dragon Age Dreadwolf, actually. Yeah, like Fable 4 is weird because they were doing Fable Legends, and then that got canceled. Let's see. 9 years ago. So 2013 is when they announced Fable Legends. And so this was originally what they were working on, and then this got canceled. So this is no longer what this new project is. This is something completely different team, different everything. And after that, they did the 2014 press conference. Let's see. I remember this being shown off.
And Inga, a hero of strength.
Well, don't hang about polishing your codgkins. We've got questing to do.
Right, let's see what's out there. This quest shall lead me to honor, glory, and, treasure.
Yeah, and apparently this thing's just like been dumped. And now, of course, they've shifted forward and they're doing this other completely revamped one, which I think looks better, at least from what we've seen.
Let's do it. What do I think about heroes? Well, we've all seen them, haven't we? Swanning about the place. with their disproportionately high cheekbones and comically massive weapons.
Wanker.
Roughing up bandits, because they like to rough up bandits, don't they? Living it up with the common folk every single night.
Hopefully you can customize the character because her face scares me.
On a day-to-day basis, I'd say the true hero is me, someone who's breaking new ground with fruit, with veg, on the agricultural side of things.
Just look at them.
Not wafting around mythical creatures. And that's what they are. Wafters.
Yeah, well done.
You see, I'm not here to slay legendary beasts. I'm here to conquer the vegetable, not a euphemism. Let's face it, the age of heroes is over. This is the age of innovation. This, if you will, is the age of death. One moment.
Dude, this is such a good trailer.
This is awkward.
Yeah. Oh.
It's very well done. Oh man, I love it. I love it, baby. I love it. Fable for a modern audience. Yeah, I mean, these franchises have to shift a little. Saying the term like evolve is so cringe, but they have to change with their audience. I mean, Duke Nukem is a great example where if you try to just do the same thing you did before, it's probably not going to work. You got to be able to adjust and shift. Otherwise, your audience is going to get their hands on it, and they won't even realize that they don't like that anymore. That it's like, it's not what they wanted. They're just going to be like, it doesn't feel right. It feels weird. It's awkward. Even though that game released 10 years before or 5 years before would have done great or would have been received just fine. Audiences change. Expectations change. Because we play all of these other games that are trying different stuff at all different levels. And so those games need to adjust. And that's why it's so tough for these games that get caught in development hell. Because if it started development in 2010 and then for 3-4 years it just can't get its act together, and then like 2014 they finally figure out what they want to do and they start working on that, and they're like, okay, this is what we're doing, everybody agrees, and then they work for 3, 4, 5 years after that to finish it. It's like already that idea, that concept might already be 4 to 7 years out of date. Like, it's just very, very hard to catch up when stuff changes all the time. The pendulum is Duke Nukem, where it stays the same, or Saints 2 remake, where it's just so bad. I agree. Like, reinvention it's not just like a singular thing. It's not like, oh, we reinvented, so now it appeals to a modern audience. Reinvention requires understanding of the modern audience to the point where you can actually tweak and make it exactly what your audience wants. And what was baffling about the Saints Row game is that no part of that appealed to anybody. I never talked to anybody that was actually excited for that. Everybody in chat, everybody was like, I don't understand this. Like, not only is it a broken mess, but also, who is this for? Like, the characters are built around like their student loan debt, and that's their whole personality. Like, so much of this game just is weird and cringe. It's just bad. But that was the entire concept. And it really does scream of like 50, 60-year-old men who are like, how do we appeal to the young people? Oh, I'll hire a bunch of people out of art school and we'll just make all the characters them. Let's do that. And it just doesn't work. So I agree, like, reinvention for the sake of reinvention doesn't work great. Part of the thing, Saints Row had a really tough job ahead of it because Saints Row has 2 big splits in its fan base. They have the people that really like the goofy, outrageous stuff with like the aliens and the just outrageous superpowers and things like that from, I think it was 3. It's been a while. And then they also have this other segment of the fan base that prefers the original, or they prefer 2, which is a little grittier, a little more grounded, still outrageous, but not in the same way as fighting aliens and stuff like that. So because of that, they were almost certainly going to disappoint one half of the group, of the fan base, no matter what they did. And at that point, when you are going to piss off half of your fan base by releasing a game, no matter what you do, your potential for success is very, very limited. It just is. But Luke, it's relatable. Yeah, having a protagonist that won't shut up about their student loan debt and eating the rich and stuff. Yeah, not cringe at all. Saints Row was supposed to be the sequel to the Punisher game. Such a shame we never got to see that. Yeah, I enjoy both styles of Saints Row, but Saints Row 2 is my favorite, the PC port of which was and still is shite. Yeah, it's a bummer that they'll release these games with terrible ports and then just never fix them. It's the thing I've seen with a lot of these games we've gone back to try and they're still not adjusted or fixed. Like Wild Hearts, when we went back and tried that, still broken.
Salvador Lloret Farina super chatted $6.56.
Oh.
Bloodlines 2 update sept. Yakuza Reinvention did really well. Like a Dragon 8 has a lot of buzz, as has its tie-in Man Who Erased His Name.
Interesting. Yeah, Bloodlines 2 update in September. That will be awesome. I'm excited to hear where that's at. Yakuza Reinvention did really well. Like a Dragon 8 has a lot of buzz, as it's a tie-in with a Man Who Erased His Name. Yeah, it's... I really hope Yakuza can start to appeal to a wider audience. I think right now it's still seen as... And this is perhaps a hot take, but I think games that have complex naming schemes, and franchises rather, that have complex naming schemes, or at least it's not clear. It really harms adoption in mass markets with new audience members. Like for Final Fantasy 16, love it or hate it, a lot of people look at 16 and go, oh shoot, I've never played one, or I only played 7, or whatever it is. And they're like, I don't know if I want to bite off a piece of that apple, so I'm just going to wait. And that right there is a little bit of delay. That's a little barrier. And you don't want any barrier when you're trying to get somebody to buy your $70 product. You want them to just look and go, I love that. Let's do that. It's why all of these other franchises have moved away from numbers in their names, because it's not that helpful. There are some exceptions with massive franchises that basically everybody already plays, like Grand Theft Auto. Going GTA 6 is like a triumph. It's clear this is the next step because they're not pumping out a lot of them. It's very clear this is the next one in the franchise, and everybody already plays it. Same with like Elder Scrolls 6, with Fallout like 4 versus 3. There's very clear progressions here, and most people play that. But who knows, maybe also in Japan, maybe Fallout 4 had a little stickier adoption with new audience members because it was already the 4th one, you know? So I think that's a tough thing. Yakuza 7 had amazing English voice acting, and the first turn-based one too. George K sold it. Yeah, it's just, I think when people are looking at these games, that little barrier, it adds up. Same with like Persona. I've heard people say, well, I don't know if I want to jump into Persona 5. I've never played any of them. And I'm like, no. They're all independent. You can play 4, you can play 5. Like, it doesn't matter. Just jump into one. And they're like, I don't know. Already that is a little barrier. It's given them an excuse not to try it. And I just don't think you need that. And so you end up in this weird spot then where you have these studios that try to do both. And so they do like Yakuza Like a Dragon. And then they also have Yakuza 0. Like, I had to Google, which Yakuza game do I play first? It's like, I can't decipher this. I don't have a master's degree in Yakuza naming schemes. I have no idea. People had to explain to me, okay, well, you start with 0, but you can start with this one too, and you can shift through that. And it's really a bummer because the Yakuza games are really, really good. But I just think that they are in a very confusing layout. It's like those restaurants you go to. Like, there's a restaurant kind of close to here. It's like a mom and pop shop. It's a Mexican restaurant, and it's got some of the most amazing food you've ever eaten. Like, it is authentic to the max, delicious, melt your face off delicious. However, the building that it's in is super rundown, super sketchy. There's sketchy, like, homeless people that hang out on the street corner. It's just not a place like I would want to take my wife and then my 2 very young children to. And that right there is a barrier. You don't want any barriers at all, because even though the product they're selling is amazing, and in this example, I know it's amazing, but even because of these couple of little barriers that technically don't matter, I can park the car in front and just walk inside. It's not that big of a deal. But that little barrier is just enough to make me decide to go to the other restaurant that isn't as good, but doesn't have those barriers. So you just have to remove all of that. And with these games, they have barriers with their naming schemes. They have barriers with, like sometimes it's even just how it's advertised can affect this. It's why Game Pass is such a game changer, because it removes almost all of these barriers. Because with Yakuza, it's like, I don't know if I want to jump into this, pay $70 for a game I don't know that much about. And right there, Game Pass is like, no, you already pay for it. Boom, just download it. Easy. Or stream it from the cloud. You can literally play it within 2 minutes of deciding, I'll try it. That's amazing. That's why Game Pass is such a game changer for a lot of these. Yeah, sales resistance, exactly. Yeah, that sucks because Yakuza is one of the best series I've ever played. Yeah, no, it's just it's the same thing I've said with a lot of other franchises. Like, I would love for them to be more widely accepted, but the reality is that a lot of these franchises that we know and love as more hardcore gamers are seen as just too much. It's too intimidating for a more casual gamer or somebody that's not been exposed to it before. Another great example is like Warhammer stuff. Like, I love Warhammer, getting into it. But the idea when you pitch to somebody, oh yeah, you know this board game that I really like playing, you should try it. You have to buy figurines, and then they show up in like big plastic trays of pieces like this, and then you have to cut the pieces out, and then you glue them together with plastic cement. And then after all of that, you paint them, and then you glue them onto little pedestal bases that you can also decorate with like fake sand and rocks. And then you get to put them on a table and play a board game. Understandably, a lot of people are like, I'm good. You know, like, okay, I'm good. It makes sense. And I think the creators of Warhammer Games Workshop, they are very aware of that big barrier to entry, because it's not just expensive, but there's a lot of potential steps, and the game is also pretty complicated. So they, with this latest edition, 10th edition, they came in and tried to simplify it a little bit with 10th edition, which is what Salvador's referencing. It's not that it's simplified, it's streamlined. Like, they combined like the shooting and psychic phases together, and then they also put all of these abilities in one spot. And then, like, for My Army of Thousand Suns, it's like, instead of having just a book full of different spells that you cast, they kind of combined all this stuff together. So it's much more streamlined, but still. Henry Cavill, oh man. Henry Cavill is like the biggest asset they have. They really should just get him out there talking about stuff, because when people hear Henry Cavill plays this game, I think they're much more likely to try it, because everybody wants to be Henry Cavill. So, yeah. No, but I think you said the same thing about Final Fantasy 16 barrier for 16 feeling intimidating. I think that either you click with it or not at the end of the day. Yeah, well, I totally stand by that. Final Fantasy 16, the 16 number is intimidating for some people, for a lot of people. And I think the sales numbers bear that out. It's like, they look at it and they're like, it's the 16th one? I've never played any of them. I don't know if I can get into that, because there is an impression that if you're going to play 16, even if you really like it, you're signing up to also then play 15 and 14 and 13 and 12 and 11. And even if that's not true, that's the impression. It's the same thing where, like, I had a lot of resistance to getting into Warhammer because I knew that once I got into it, I'd be really into it. And then it's like, oh, well, then I've got to get the whole army, and then I've got to paint all of those and build all of them. And then I've got to do all the research in the lore, and it's just going to consume my life. And even like now, I'm like, okay, well, it doesn't have to be all consuming. It can be, certainly, but it doesn't have to be. And I would just say, at the end of the day, I still enjoy it. So it's still, it's not a bad thing, but that's just intimidating for people. Yeah, Salvador, my first choice, first army was Thousand Suns. And I'm getting them kitted out slowly but surely. There's a couple, though, that I need that are sold out absolutely everywhere. Like this guy, the Mutolith Vortex Beast. This guy has like totally been broken. Not broken. He's just extremely powerful in 10th edition, and he's sold out absolutely everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. So I need one of him, but I can't find one. You can find them on eBay, but they are like $300. People are selling them off. It's crazy. How many points to field? Well, he specifically is like, it might be like 190, 165 maybe. I don't remember exactly how many points, but he has a couple of very specific abilities that when combined with some of the rituals you can perform with Cabal points as a Thousand Suns player are outrageous. Like, it gets pretty insane. Same with the well, I mean, I won't get super into it because most people probably don't care. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that they tweaked in 10th edition that lets you just totally break it. Favorite game in 2023 so far? I mean, I thought it was just going to be Tears of the Kingdom, full stop. But frankly, I've kind of reached a point where I'm good to just set Tears of the Kingdom down. Like, you guys know I've been working through it very, very slowly because I was playing that and Diablo 4 and all these other games at the same time over the summer. And I'm just at the point now where I'm probably at like 50-60% of the way through Tears of the Kingdom. I've got all 4 of the special abilities or whatever. I've gone to all those temples and done that. I've explored the whole map. I've got all this. I've got a bunch of shrines still to do, a bunch of side quests, all that. Haven't finished the final boss fight or anything. But I'm like, I've just been playing it, just having a good time exploring. But I'm good. At the point where I am, I'm good. I don't think I need to go any further. I don't think I need to do anything more complicated. I'm good. And so I don't think I'm going to push it. I think I'm just going to set it down. And then if I feel the urge to go back to it in 6 months, I'll do that. But it has not captivated me like I thought it would. I thought it was going to like be my obsession this whole year, like the first time it was in 2017 with Breath of the Wild, but it really has not been that for me. So I thought that would be a slam dunk game of the year, but it hasn't been. It's still amazing, but it hasn't had the same staying power. It's hard for me to argue that any other game this year has dominated the conversation as much as Hogwarts Legacy. And even though I don't think it's the best game probably that will release this year, I think it might be the most compelling. And in terms of like potential for a sequel, whatever the next game is in that franchise, I'm very interested in. They could do a lot. So Tears of the Kingdom has been for people who speed through it and love it, or those who are slow and put it away for a period of time. Yeah, I think that's a good fit. It's a game that's so big that you kind of have to be willing to set it down and come back to it. They've even said that about Baldur's Gate 3. The game's creative director, I found this fascinating. The game's creative director came in and said, no, we fully anticipate that people will play through Act 1 or Act 2 and then set the game down for a month, 2 months, a year, and then come back to it and finish it later. It's like, we don't shy away from that. We understand the game is huge and it will be here waiting for you when you return. It's like, that's crazy. I've never heard a game director be like, yeah, no, feel free to set the game down. It's okay. You know, Breath of the Wild kind of died down quickly. I also expected it to be talked about at least till winter. I mean, I just think the game was so huge, everybody was talking about it for so long, and everybody played it, and now everybody's pretty much done with it. And now there's other stuff that they're getting hyped for, like Starfield. I mean, Starfield, I don't anticipate that being a game of the year. I don't anticipate that like blowing me away. I expect Starfield to have a lot of technical issues. I expect it to be pretty buggy, and I also expect it to have some really weird clunkiness that feels pretty outdated compared to some other space sims. I think for people that have not played many sci-fi games with like space travel and spaceship exploration and stuff, it's probably going to be really cool. But for me, having exposure to those other games, it's going to probably feel a little weird and stiff. But I would still guess it's probably like an 8.5 out of 10, maybe even a 9 out of 10. But I don't expect it to really captivate me, but I would love to be wrong there. I would love to just be engrossed and obsessed with it. Baldur's Gate 3, that might be a real contender if what I'm hearing is true. I reached out to them requesting a review code. We'll see if that goes anywhere, but that would be awesome. What else? What else is there this year? AC Mirage. I think Mirage will be really good for AC fans, but I don't think it'll be winning any awards. Yeah. Maybe Spider-Man 2. I keep forgetting Spider-Man 2 is coming out. I hope Spider-Man 2 is amazing because, it'd be really cool to have another awesome Sony exclusive. But I've said it before, and it's pissed plenty of people off. I don't know how you keep Spider-Man really compelling game after game after game. I just don't know how you do it. I hope they figured it out. But for me personally, as somebody that's not like a crazy like superhero fan, I don't care about superhero stuff. I don't really watch the Marvel movies. I don't get into that stuff. I just don't care. It's not for me. It doesn't hook me. I don't like playing as Miles and then swapping to Peter. For some people, probably each time they do that is a little adrenaline spike and they just get giddy and like get a slight chub from it. That's not me. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. They both swing. They can both punch stuff. Cool. Like a cool story, bro. I don't care. So maybe they have something else there that's going to really blow me away. Maybe just the sheer spectacle of it is going to blow me away. But as of right now, I'm just kind of like, it's more of the same. Yeah, very formulaic. That's my fear, is that it's just going to be Spider-Man from 2018, but with a new coat of paint that probably looks very nice. You play as Peter and Miles, and couple of big boss fights, some crazy tech for swapping between characters quickly. But I think you need more than that to really compel me. I would expect that that's also probably an 8.5 out of 10 for me. So for me, when I'm looking at this, kind of happened in 2019 as well. When I'm looking at a collection of 8.5 out of 10 games, and I'm like, okay, what's my game of the year? Usually I just end up picking based on what is like, what I think is the most compelling long term. What do I want to see in a sequel, which is like the most interesting for me, watching for a sequel, which has the most potential, stuff like that. Which is why I ended up giving like Days Gone my game of the year back in 2019. It was also partially just to trigger the crap out of Death Stranding fanboys. That was part of it. But I also had not really tried Ghost of Tsushima yet. So if I had played Ghost of Tsushima and hooked with it, or gotten hooked by it, I would have given that game of the year. But can't play everything. Is the Ubisoft Star Wars Outlaws going to be worth the gamble, though? I mean, I everything I've seen about that looks impressive. We shall see as we get closer. I think this Pandora game is going to be a really good indicator of what we can expect because it's from the same team, same kind of concept, big open world adventure game. So I think we'll know a lot more about what this team is capable of doing once we get Pandora, Frontiers of Pandora, and we try that, see what they're able to do, and then we can know, okay, yeah, they're going to hit this out of the park, or they screwed up pretty bad on this one. I don't know what we'll see. I look for a game that will force the next few years of games to reevaluate their production and scale. The game can be a 10 out of 10, but the Ubisoft tag is the biggest barrier for all of them. Yeah, I totally agree. The biggest thing with Star Wars Outlaws is that people think it looks too good to be true. And with Ubisoft's history, that's a tough barrier to overcome. So they're going to have to send it to reviewers early. They're going to have to do like a play test with full footage released early where they let streamers try it. They're gonna have to do stuff like that to instill confidence, in my opinion. And I agree, Salvador. I think Baldur's Gate 3, as we talked about on stream the other day, is going to be that game that, for RPGs at least, narrative RPGs, pushes that boundary. And I think we haven't gotten a lot of those because a lot of games recently have been very formulaic, but I would say in the next 2-3 years, we're going to get an onslaught of games that try to do that. You're going to get whatever the next Naughty Dog game is coming soon. You're going to get GTA 6 very soon as well. So we're going to start to see some of these games from these cutting edge studios that are just stunning in their scope and what they're trying to do. So I'm very excited for that. It's going to be really cool. Really, really cool. GTA 4 remaster incoming. Maybe. All the rumors right now are that they're working on a Red Dead Redemption 1 remake. So if they release that and that does well, then they probably remake GTA 4. But then again, remaking a Grand Theft Auto game has got to be way more intimidating than just doing a like Red Dead. Red Dead's big, but Red Dead is also, I think, more manageable than the big, huge city with all that. Bully 2 or Red Dead Redemption 3? I mean, they both be amazing, but a Bully 2 with modern scope and modern tech could just be ridiculous. Like, absolutely ridiculous. Seeing a game like that with a Rockstar coat of paint nowadays would be crazy. So I would probably prefer to see what that looks like rather than Red Dead 3. Like, I've seen Red Dead 2. Red Dead 2 was amazing, but it also wasn't that long ago. And I don't think that a modern, like today, Red Dead 3 would be that different or that stunning compared to Red Dead 2. I think they'd both be great. Probably would look even more realistic and have a lot of stuff like that. A lot more bells and whistles, but a Bully 2 versus the original Bully would be night and day. Totally different. Totally different. Can't believe Red Dead 2 is a PS4 game. Yeah, for real, dude. It's actual magic. Same with The Last of Us Part 2. You go back and look at the graphics of The Last of Us Part 2. It's wild that that thing runs at all on that base PS4. Doesn't look that great on the base PS4, but still. Yeah, as long as Grove Street Games doesn't do the remaster, it'll probably be fine. Yeah, hopefully they learn their lesson from that. Are you tired of remastered games and focus on original IPs? I mean, personally, I would rather that we get new original stuff. It's been fascinating to watch like this stuff happening also with the writer's strike in Hollywood, because there's a lot of overlap between what's happening in the gaming space and what's been happening in the film space as well, where a lot of people are really frustrated that Hollywood is largely just doing sequels, live action remakes, all this stuff that doesn't actually make very much money. And audiences are clearly frustrated by them and are kind of sick of them. And eventually they have to listen, right? Eventually they have to snap out of it and go, okay. We'll do it your way. We'll try something else. So far, they haven't done that. So far, they just keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. They're like, why isn't this working? And even now, like, there's talks of Disney wanting to do all sorts of craziness. Like, like Bob Iger, who came back, basically, long story short, Bob Iger was the CEO of Disney from, I believe, late 2005 through 2020 or 2019. It was right before COVID, I believe. And then a guy named Bob Chapek took over and kind of ran the business into the ground. He did a lot of really rough work and made some bad decisions. Now it's looking like most of those decisions that were bad, that were attributed to him, were probably Bob Iger's doing, and he just got out before they took effect, but that is a separate issue. But with this, after being away for like 2.5 years, Bob Iger came back, this guy, and he came back and decided he's going to try to save Disney. He's going to try to work on it and rework it and make something happen. However, he's realizing that there's a lot of issues at play within the business. For example, they said that recently he said that their TV assets are non-core, meaning that he is open to selling them. So that would mean Disney sells ABC, FX, Freeform, part of their ESPN stuff, like ESPN Plus. They own a bunch of Hulu. They're about to be forced to buy a bunch of, like a third of Hulu from Comcast as well. And Hulu lost $800 million last quarter. Like, Disney is not doing well at all. And Disney's stock price keeps plummeting further and further and further. So there's a bunch of rumors that Bob Iger is actually going to go and sell the company to Apple. I don't think that that's going to happen in full, because I don't think Disney or Apple rather would ever want to operate like a theme park. I don't think that they would ever want to do that. But like, if we just go back 5 years, I mean, look at this. Right back at the peak of 2021, the stock was rising, and this was mostly because Disney Plus was looking like it could be a hit. But then once the numbers came out and people were like, nope, they're kind of burned out on it, the stock started to fall, plummet even further. The stock keeps dropping, and it's just pathetic how much trouble they're having. I mean, it's down over 100% from there. Not 100%, 50%. Forgive me. If it had risen, it would have to go up 100%, but it's down 50%. And it's just baffling that they've been having this much trouble. I mean, you can see just how much they plummeted. And they're back. Like, if you bought a share of Disney in December of 2014, you would have lost money if you were still holding it today. That's insane. That's crazy. So Disney's in big, big trouble, and Bob Chapek is trying to figure that out. And then beyond that, like, he's kind of the face of the whole strike right now, the SAG-AFTRA writers' strike, because he said that the people that are demanding more money, the writers and actors and stuff, he said that they are being insensitive to broader economic conditions. They're not being reasonable, basically. Guess where he was when he said that? At a billionaire conference. Like, retreat, technically, with like 15 other billionaires. That's a little, I mean, that screams a little out of touch for you to come out and be like, oh yeah, you guys are out of touch. Asking for, the total would cost them about $76 million a year. $76 million a year. Bob Iger could personally cover that, much less Disney. Like, come on. Come on, dude. Scum World Order, how was my diet in college? It was pretty scummy. I'm gonna be real. Iger makes $27 million a year. I believe that is that his direct compensation of stock options. Compensation. Yes. So he makes 27 million annually. Share screen. And he receives a base salary of 1 million, and then he receives stock options that take that number up to 27 million. Bear in mind, he made 45.9 million in 2019. In 2020, he made 21 million. His base salary was 3 million. He earned a cash bonus of 22.9 million. Bob Chapek took home 32.5 million. So, and the thing is, these people, like, this is what you just have to remember. You can live as a millionaire, billionaire. You can live off of $1 million a year. Shocker, right? The rest of the money that you have, the rest of the stock, you just sit on and you let professionals manage it and grow it. So these guys are not actually like spending that money. It's growing at 6 to 15 to sometimes even 20 if they go with a really good hedge fund to manage their stuff. It's growing a lot. And so they might have made 50 million 5 years ago. That 50 million now is worth over 100 million. So that's how these people become billionaires so quickly when they're taking home 20, 30 million dollars in a year, is they just immediately invest all of it back and it just compounds. And over the course of a 15, 20 year helm at a company like this, you're just swimming in it. So, the whole point is that it's really rich for somebody like him to say that they're being unrealistic while he's literally like just getting off of his private jet going to a billionaire retreat, you know? But that's the thing, is like there's this whole perception right now that going all the way back to what we were talking about, there's a problem in the broader entertainment industry where executives are trying to cut corners to maximize profits. And part of the way they do that is with easy sequels. And in the gaming space, it's remakes, remasters, and live service games. And I think audiences are in general getting frustrated with both sides of the industry. They're getting frustrated that movies are getting lazier and lazier, and they're getting frustrated that games seem to also be getting lazier and lazier. And how that fixes itself is probably with a broad market correction in either way. Because the only reason these stocks are valued as high as they are is because they generate X number of profitable dollars per share. If the market has to correct, where they need to start spending more on projects that will perform at the same level as these other Marvel movies that used to print money very, very easily, then that profitability will drop. That means the stock price will drop and plummet, and that'll be seen as a correction. You'll see the price of Disney dropping even further. Even though it's down over 50% from its peak, it's going to drop even more. And at that point, you know, you'll see a lot of investors sell it. A lot of those executives will get frustrated and leave. The company will go into a pretty rough period, but that's the correction that has to happen. And in the gaming space, it probably means that you see a handful of pretty big developers and studios have a couple of bombs that don't do well. But that's the only way this stuff gets fixed, is with big market adjustments that hurt the wallets of the big guys. Have you seen the game My Friendly Neighborhood? Might be a good stream game for the future. I don't think so. It's like a horror game. Like a horror survival game. Action adventure survival horror game developed by John and Eva Szymanski. Players strap on the old tool belt and step into the world of into the work boots of Gordon, a repairman who takes a job well above his pay grade, fend off and restrain ferocious fiends. Okay. I have not heard of it before this, but I could check that out. Interesting. I love those little indie games. Love it. The SAG-AFTRA stand on AI and studio rights to likeness and voice in perpetuity is a necessity to avoid increasingly lazy cash grabbiness. Yeah, there's a lot of really weird stuff with that AI stuff. Like they wanted, correct me if I'm wrong, my understanding is Disney countered them and said, we want to pay extras to basically scan their likeness and we'll compensate them for that. But then in future films, we're able to put their likeness onto the background characters and extras and stuff through CGI. And that's our right to do. We don't have to pay you further after that. It's like that thing Troy Baker was defending, where he's like, yeah, voice actors will scan their voice into this computer, and then the computer can generate voice over dialogue using their voices. It's like, so you want your job to become obsolete? Like what? That's weird. Yeah, it's wanting everybody to come in NFT. It's just, I'm shocked that was like a serious counter. But it's because like they're trying to find ways to cut these corners and to limit the expense here. And like I've spoken to people who work as actors in Hollywood. When I was in college and I was taking some acting classes, my professor Walt, he had students that went off and worked as actors. He had a student that was in Westworld and a student that was on some cowboy show that I don't remember the name of, kind of like a soap opera kind of thing. So he had students that went on to be decently successful actors, and all of them were like, with the union's help, we get enough money to kind of like not have to work another job while we're working on a big project like that. But like a secondary character in a decently successful show will make like $7,000 an episode. They might guest star in say 5 episodes. That's pretty good. Think of like Roy in The Office. Like he's in The Office, but he's not in every single episode. He's not a main character. He's a secondary character. So he probably makes like $7,000 an episode on that. He's in 5 episodes. Cool. Easy peasy. He just made $35,000, right? Not quite, because the agent takes 10, the manager takes 10, lawyers' fees and processing fees, maybe another 5. So right there, 25% of that is slashed off the top. It's like, oh, so all of a sudden now we're closer to like 26,000. Okay. And that's for 5 episodes. That's for probably 3, 4, 5 months of your life. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, and taxes get kicked in. So you're living in a very expensive area in LA to be able to film this show. And your take home pay for like 3, 4, 5 months of work is maybe after taxes like 18 to 20,000. All of a sudden you're living well below where someone would be if they were working as like a cashier at Target, if they're full-time, which I doubt they let you be. But like it makes sense why these actors are like, it's kind of messed up that we can be successful in our industry and below the poverty line. Like in any industry, that's crazy. Is if the industry is generating billions of dollars in profit, you know, like, and then you wonder, okay, well, where's the rest of the money going? And it's, well, going to the people like Bob Iger. You know, it goes into the company coffers, and then they do stock buybacks to boost that stock price back up. And it makes sense why people are frustrated. Makes sense. So it appeared when it moved from silent films to voice to control any audio media spin-offs. Okay. If you watch The Flash, people have found that some or the majority of the PS3 looking cameos were done by AI because they left minor mistakes like logo wrapping in the final movie. Yeah, I've heard The Flash is just a train wreck. I haven't been interested in superhero movies in years. Like, I think I checked out with everybody when Endgame hit, or Infinity War, whichever was the last one. I would think Endgame, but maybe Infinity War's, I don't know. But I haven't been interested in the Marvel movies since. And even before that, I would watch maybe one every other year, maybe. Like, I just have never been that interested in it. But then to hear that the Flash is like, oh, it's with that Ezra Miller, who everybody agrees is like a horrible person. Ezra Miller, like, assaults people, treats fans horribly, has been fired from pretty much everything. Like, horrible. Yeah, I know Flash is DC. I'm saying superhero stuff. So, like, the height for me, and I think a lot of people, for superhero movies was when Marvel was at the top with Endgame, Infinity War, that stuff. I don't think DC had a couple of big bangs in the like late 2000s, maybe early 2010s with Man of Steel and with Dark Knight and stuff like that, but they've never competed with Marvel, I don't think. But yeah, the Flash, I just think everybody's like, we're good. Yeah, it's all the more frustrating that Ezra Miller is such a horrible person and still gets to front line and lead the film. Like, it's baffling. Like, there are so many other qualified actors and actresses that do not assault people on the regular. That would be great candidates. So it's very frustrating. Very keen to see Blue Beetle. Yeah, well, I saw people getting excited for that. I don't know. I just don't think I'm into superhero stuff. Have you heard that the director of Spider-Man ATSV is not even knowledgeable in the animation space and forces animators to redo scenes last minute or cut them entirely? Yeah, that's concerning. That's concerning. It reminds me of oh crap, what was that animated movie? It was in a Defunctland episode. Black Cauldron, I think that's it. The Disney executives brought in a producer from TV to try and save the Black Cauldron thing. And that whole project, it was like years behind. It was super expensive. It wasn't screen testing very well. And so they brought this guy in and he was just like, yeah, cut this scene. We're going to re-edit this scene. I want more screen time for this character. So just cut this scene together where we have more screen time of the cute character and we'll cut more screen time of the scary character. And like, these people had to sit down and talk to them and are like, it's drawn like shot for shot. We can't just put a longer cut of this guy in because it has to be drawn. Like, we can't just do that. It's not like this where we did a take and then you can just pick a different take. Like, no, this is the only take. It's baffling. Luke, are you excited for Alan Wake 2? I wouldn't say I'm excited for it. I'm watching it. We'll see what it's like. But it's not on my like short playlist. I don't have anything against it. It's just not like pulling me in, you know? Anyway, everybody, my voice is starting to go. I can feel it getting raw. And even though I love things being raw, I don't think anybody really wants that. So I think we'll call it there. This has been a joyous time. I appreciate hanging out with all of you guys. First stream doing YouTube and also TikTok. That was pretty cool. Seemed to work decently. I will talk with Mr. Joraptor about the podcast tomorrow. We might have to push the podcast to Friday just simply because I checked and I have a haircut shearing tomorrow that I've had to reschedule twice already. So I would hate to cancel on him once again. So we'll probably do the podcast Friday, but we'll see. I can't mod TikTok. Banned here. Are you banned on TikTok? Really? That's hilarious. Anyway, it's not a big deal. It's not, TikTok is not very big right now, so it's not a big deal. Oh no, TikTok, the app is banned. Oh, I got you. Okay, I see. I wouldn't stress it too much. It's not big right now. I think all told on TikTok, we had like 792 people come in and out is what my counter says. So it's very much not unmanageable right now, so I wouldn't stress about it. Jay reply. Okay, I can jump on that. Anyway, thank you everybody for hanging out with me. Much love. Much love. Stay safe. See, it's going. I'm losing it. I love all of you dearly. Go check out the video on the Crew Motorfest that just went up. And I will see you soon. Okay? I love you dearly. Hugs and kisses. Bye-bye.